280 homicides have been recorded in the last 3 years. Did you know that the price of kerosene increased from $7 a gallon under the UWP to $11.69 per gallon under the SLP? A whopping $4.69 more per gallon.
Did you know that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre cancelled the National Health Insurance Program, which was started by the UWP, and would have given every St. Lucian $75,000 worth of healthcare coverage every year?
Hard-hitting, punchy, straight to the point, like it is. Starting on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And every Monday from 8 p.m. Join in our simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Cable 117, Plug and Play, Channel 7, and Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9, where we discuss politics and current affairs, the issues that matter and concern you, with your host, Spider Montoot. See you every Monday from 8 p.m. when we tell it like it is.
Dear Prime Minister Pierre, did you know that over 240 St. Lucians have been murdered under your watch?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Are you aware that the last 3 years have all seen record-breaking homicides?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Murders have increased by 25% under your watch. What is your plan?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you not giving the DPP the resources he requires?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you allowing Ernest Ile and Richard Frederick to get away with all?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why do you keep rejecting advice on crime solutions from the UWP?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why have you abandoned the Border Control Initiative?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why did you initially abandon the K9 unit?
I repeat again, I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
So come Friday, right around the Printry from by Parliament, coming across onto Jeremy Street, that area will be deemed a no vending zone. I call on all vendors who currently occupy that area to dismantle whatever pieces of steel, whatever old tarpaulins, whatever old tables they have in the area. Because if they are left there, we would have no choice but than to deal with them appropriately.
Flashback.
As the MP for Castries Central, in terms of your vision for the constituency, where do the vendors fit in?
I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will interfere with any vendor anywhere there. Nobody. Walk through Manhattan. Vendors all on the sidewalks.
Yes.
That is what gives a city its character. Nobody under my watch is touching no vendor.
Why is fuel in St. Lucia $16.50 a gallon? Antigua pays $14.50, Dominica $13.90, St. Kitts just $12.76. Yet for 4 years, St. Lucians have paid the highest fuel prices in the OACS. And it's not just at the pump. Electricity is up, bus fares are up, the cost of goods through the roof. Why? Because Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre removed the $13.95 fuel cap put in place by the former United Workers' Party and never looked back. While other islands shield their people, this greedy SLP government lets you carry the weight. This isn't leadership, it's neglect. It's time for relief. Time for real leadership. Time to truly put the people first. United Workers' Party, standing with you, fighting for you. Pierre Parbon.
Did you know that under the UWP, a total of 871 citizenships were sold between 2016 and 2021? So far, the SLP has sold 14,000 citizenships in 3 years.
Did you know that the price of fuel was capped at $13.95 per gallon under the UWP? But that cap was removed when Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister. The price per gallon is now $16.50, the highest in the OACS for the last 3 years.
Did you know that homicides have increased by 25% since Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister? Over 280 homicides have been recorded in the last 3 years. Did you know that the price of kerosene increased from $7 a gallon under the UWP to $11.69 per gallon under the SLP, a whopping $4.69 more per gallon?
Did you know that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre cancelled the National Health Insurance Program, which was started by the UWP, and would have given every St. Lucian $75,000 worth of healthcare coverage every year?
Hard-hitting, punchy, straight to the point, like it is. Starting on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And every Monday from 8 p.m. Join in our simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Cable 117, Plug and Play, Channel 7, and Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9, where we discuss politics and current affairs, the issues that matter and concern you, with your host, Spider Montoot. See you every Monday from 8 p.m. when we tell it like it is.
Dear Prime Minister Pierre, did you know that over 240 St. Lucians have been murdered under your watch?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Are you aware that the last 3 years have all seen record-breaking homicides?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Murders have increased by 25% under your watch. What is your plan?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you not giving the DPP the resources he requires?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you allowing Ernest Ile and Richard Frederick to get away with all this corruption?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why do you keep rejecting advice on crime solutions from the UWP?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why have you abandoned the Border Control Initiative?
I'm not a policeman. My father...
26. Yet for 4 years, St. Lucians have paid the highest fuel prices in the OACS. And it's not just at the pump. Electricity is up, bus fares are up, the cost of goods through the roof. Why? Because Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre removed the $13.95 fuel cap put in place by the former United Workers' Party and never looked back. While other islands shield their people, this greedy SLP government lets you carry the weight. This isn't leadership, it's neglect. It's time for relief, time for real leadership. Time to truly put the people first. United Workers' Party, standing with you, fighting for you. Pierre Parbon.
Did you know that under the UWP, a total of 871 citizenships were sold between 2016 and 2021? So far, the SLP has sold 14,000 citizenships in 3 years.
Did you know that the price of fuel was capped at $13.95 per gallon under the UWP? But that cap was removed when Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister. The price per gallon is now $16.50, the highest in the OACS for the last 3 years.
Did you know that homicides have increased by 25% since Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister? Over 280 homicides have been recorded in the last 3 years. Did you know that the price of kerosene increased from $7 a gallon under the UWP to $11.69 per gallon under the SLP, a whopping $4.69 more per gallon?
Did you know that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre cancelled the National Health Insurance Program, which was started by the UWP, and would have given every St. Lucian $75,000 worth of healthcare coverage every year?
Hard-hitting, punchy, straight to the point, like it is. Starting on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And every Monday from 8 p.m. Join in our simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Cable 117, Plug and Play, Channel 7, and Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9, where we discuss politics and current affairs, the issues that matter and concern you, with your host, Spider Montu. See you every Monday from 8 p.m. when we tell it like it is.
Dear Prime Minister Pierre, did you know that over 240 St. Lucians have been murdered under your watch?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Are you aware that the last 3 years have all seen record-breaking homicides?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Murders have increased by 25% under your watch. What is your plan?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you not giving the DPP the resources he requires?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you allowing Ernest Ile and Richard Frederick to get away with all this corruption?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why do you keep rejecting advice on crime solutions from the UWP?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why have you abandoned the Border Control Initiative?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why did you initially abandon the K9 unit?
I repeat again, I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
So come Friday, right around the Printry from by Parliament, coming across onto Jeremy Street, that area will be deemed a no vending zone. I call on all vendors who currently occupy that area to dismantle whatever pieces of steel, whatever old tarpaulins, whatever old tables they have in the area. Because if they are left there, we would have no choice but than to deal with them appropriately.
Flashback.
As the MP for Castries Central, in terms of your vision for the constituency, where do the vendors fit in?
I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will interfere with any vendor anywhere again. Nobody. Walk through Manhattan. Vendors all on the sidewalks. That is what gives a city its character. Nobody under my watch is touching no vendor.
Why is fuel in St. Lucia $16.50 a gallon? Antigua pays $14.50, Dominica $13.90, St. Kitts just $12.76. Yet for 4 years, St. Lucians have paid the highest fuel prices in the OACS. And it's not just at the pump. Electricity is up, bus fares are up, the cost of goods through the roof. Why? Because Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre removed the $13.95 fuel cap put in place by the former United Workers' Party and never looked back. While other islands shield their people, this greedy SLP government lets you carry the weight. This isn't leadership, it's neglect. It's time for relief, time for real leadership, time to truly put the people first. United Workers' Party, standing with you, fighting for you. Pierre Parbon.
Did you know that under the UWP, a total of 871 citizenships were sold between 2016 and 2021? So far, the SLP has sold 14,000 citizenships in 3 years.
Did you know that the price of fuel was capped at $13.95 per gallon under the UWP? But that cap was removed when Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister. The price per gallon is now $16.50, the highest in the OACS for the last 3 years.
Did you know that homicides have increased by 25% since Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister? Over 280 homicides have been recorded in the last 3 years. Did you know that the price of kerosene increased from $7 a gallon under the UWP to $11.69 per gallon under the SLP? A whopping $4.69 more per gallon.
Did you know that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre cancelled the National Health Insurance Program, which was started by the UWP, and would have given every St. Lucian $75,000 worth of healthcare coverage every year?
Hard-hitting, punchy, straight to the point, like it is. Starting on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And every Monday from 8 p.m. Join in our simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Cable 117, Plug and Play, Channel 7, and Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9, where we discuss politics and current affairs, the issues that matter and concern you, with your host, Spider-Man 2. See you every Monday from 8 p.m. when we tell it like it is.
Dear Prime Minister Pierre, did you know that over 240 St. Lucians have been murdered under your watch?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Are you aware that the last 3 years have all seen record-breaking homicides?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Murders have increased by 25% under your watch. What is your plan?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you not giving the DPP the resources he requires?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you allowing Ernest Ile and Richard Frederick to get away with all this corruption?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why do you keep rejecting advice on crime solutions from the UWP?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why have you abandoned the Border Control Initiative?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why did you initially abandon the K9 unit?
I repeat again, I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
So come Friday, right around the Printry from by Parliament, coming across onto Jeremy Street, that area will be deemed a no vending zone. I call on all vendors who currently occupy that area to dismantle whatever pieces of steel, whatever old tarpaulins, whatever old tables they have in the area. Because if they are left there, we would have no choice but than to deal with them appropriately.
Flashback.
As the MP for Castries Central, in terms of your vision for the constituency, where do the vendors fit in?
I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will interfere with any vendor anywhere again. Nobody. Walk through Manhattan. Vendors all on the sidewalks.
Yes.
That is what gives a city its character. Nobody under my watch is touching no vendor.
Why is fuel in St. Lucia $16.50 a gallon? Antigua pays $14.50, Dominica $13.90, St. Kitts just $12.76. Yet for 4 years, St. Lucians have paid the highest fuel prices in the OACS. And it's not just at the pump. Electricity is up, bus fares are up, the cost of goods through the roof. Why? Because Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre removed the $13.95 fuel cap put in place by the former United Workers' Party and never looked back. While other islands shield their people, this greedy SLP government lets you carry the weight. This isn't leadership, it's neglect. It's time for relief. Time for real leadership. Time to truly put the people first. United Workers' Party, standing with you, fighting for you. Pierre Parbon.
Did you know that under the UWP, a total of 871 citizenships were sold between 2016 and 2021? So far, the SLP has sold 14,000 citizenships in 3 years.
Did you know that the price of fuel was capped at $13.95 per gallon under the UWP? But that cap was removed when Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister. The price per gallon is now $16.50, the highest in the OACS for the last 3 years.
Did you know that homicides have increased by 25% since Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister? Over 280 homicides have been recorded in the last 3 years. Did you know that the price of kerosene increased from $7 a gallon under the UWP to $11.69 per gallon under the SLP? A whopping $4.69 more per gallon.
Did you know that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre cancelled the National Health Insurance Program, which was started by the UWP, and would have given every St. Lucian $75,000 worth of healthcare coverage every year?
Hard-hitting, punchy, straight to the point, like it is. Starting on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And every Monday from 8 p.m. Join in our simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Cable 117, Plug and Play, Channel 7, and Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9, where we discuss politics and current affairs, the issues that matter and concern you, with your host, Spider Montoot. See you every Monday from 8 p.m. when we tell it like it is.
Dear Prime Minister Pierre, did you know that over 240 St. Lucians have been murdered under your watch?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Are you aware that the last 3 years have all seen record-breaking homicides?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Murders have increased by 25% under your watch. What is your plan?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you not giving the DPP the resources he requires?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you allowing Ernest Ile and Richard Frederick to get away with all this corruption?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why do you keep rejecting advice on crime solutions from the UWP?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why have you abandoned the Border Control Initiative?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why did you initially abandon the K9 unit?
I repeat again, I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
So come Friday, right around the Printry from by Parliament, coming across onto Jeremy Street, that area will be deemed a no vending zone. I call on all vendors who currently occupy that area to dismantle whatever pieces of steel, whatever old tarpaulins, whatever old tables they have in the area. Because if they are left there, we will have no choice but than to deal with them appropriately.
Flashback.
As the MP for Castries Central, in terms of your vision for the constituency, where do the vendors fit in?
I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will interfere with any vendor anywhere again. Nobody. Walk through Manhattan. Vendors all on the sidewalks.
Yes.
That is what gives a city its character. Nobody under my watch is touching no vendor.
Why is fuel in St. Lucia $16.50 a gallon? Antigua pays $14.50. Dominica $13.90. St. Kitts just $12.76. Yet for 4 years, St. Lucians have paid the highest fuel prices in the OACS. And it's not just at the pump. Electricity is up, bus fares are up, the cost of goods through the roof. Why? Because Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre removed the $13.95 fuel cap put in place by the former United Workers' Party and never looked back. While other islands shield their people, this greedy SLP government lets you carry the weight. This isn't leadership, it's neglect. It's time for relief. Time for real leadership. Time to truly put the people first. United Workers' Party, standing with you, fighting for you. Pierre Parbon.
Did you know that under the UWP, a total of 871 citizenships were sold between 2016 and 2021? So far, the SLP has sold 14,000 citizenships in 3 years.
Did you know that the price of fuel was capped at $13.95 per gallon under the UWP? But that cap was removed when Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister. The price per gallon is now $16.50, the highest in the OACS for the last 3 years.
Did you know that homicides have increased by 25% since Philip J. Pierre became Prime Minister? Over 280 homicides have been recorded in the last 3 years. Did you know that the price of kerosene increased from $7 a gallon under the UWP to $11.69 per gallon under the SLP? A whopping $4.69 more per gallon.
Did you know that Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre cancelled the National Health Insurance Program, which was started by the UWP and would have given every St. Lucian $75,000 worth of healthcare coverage every year?
Hard-hitting, punchy, straight to the point, like it is. Starting on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And every Monday from 8 p.m. Join in our simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Cable 117, Plug and Play, Channel 7, and Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9, where we discuss politics and current affairs, the issues that matter and concern you, with your host, Spider Montoot. See you every Monday from 8 p.m. when we tell it like it is.
Dear Prime Minister Pierre, did you know that over 240 St. Lucians have been murdered under your watch?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Are you aware that the last 3 years have all seen record-breaking homicides?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Murders have increased by 25% under your watch. What is your plan?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you not giving the DPP the resources he requires?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why are you allowing Ernest Ile and Richard Frederick to get away with all this corruption?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why do you keep rejecting advice on crime solutions from the UWP?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why have you abandoned the Border Control Initiative?
I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
Why did you initially abandon the K9 unit?
I repeat again, I'm not a policeman. My father was, not me.
So come Friday, right around the Printry from by Parliament, coming across onto Jeremy Street, that area will be deemed a no vending zone. I call on all vendors who currently occupy that area to dismantle whatever pieces of steel, whatever old tarpaulins, whatever old tables they have in the area. Because if they are left there, we would have no choice but than to deal with them appropriately.
Flashback.
As the MP for Castries Central, in terms of your vision for the constituency, where do the vendors fit in?
I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will interfere with any vendor anywhere there. Nobody. Walk through Manhattan. Vendors all on the sidewalks. That is what gives a city its character. Nobody under my watch is touching no vendor.
Why is fuel in St. Lucia $16.50 a gallon? Antigua pays $14.50. Dominica $13.90.
What we always do is, in a demonstration of our national pride and patriotism, we always start with our national anthem. So those of you who are present, I ask that you please stand at attention. Thank you very much, and let me ask that you please remain standing. As we always do, for all our sessions, we always invoke the presence of the Lord for his guidance and blessings. So I would like to now call on Ms. Marcella Monrose, who will lead us in prayer.
Good night, everyone. And Catholic, can we sign ourselves? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Oh Lord, I ask you to give us the strength tonight. All those already there, and ask you, Lord, all those on their way, to give them the strength and the courage, and to have them safe here. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. Amen. All right.
Thank you very much. You may please sit. And before we begin, let me just issue an apology for our slightly late start. And we had a major accident on the road, and that, of course, detained some of our speakers for a little while, those who were coming from the northerly direction. And so we are ready to start now, since we have all our speakers here with us right now. Unfortunately, this accident has caused a major hold-up on the highway. And of course, you know, of late, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing quite a few accidents and incidents. I just want to mention too that I have been informed that in the Grand River area that there was what appears to be a double homicide. And well, yeah, well, you may not hear about it. It will take about at least four or so to happen at a time for them to speak about it. You know, and so, I mean, just as they take credit for the decrease, they said there was a decrease of 35% earlier in the year. You know, nobody takes responsibility for the increase when it takes place. But let us hope and pray that we'll get the guidance of the Lord for all this bloodletting that is taking place in our country, that in itself will subside, and let us as a people try to live with one another in harmony, because there's no point killing each other. At the end of the day, those records that are being set annually are not going to redound to the benefit of us as a people or our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I said my welcome earlier, but of course, this Flabo Sunday Live today is taking place in the constituency of Castries North. And we have very exciting news for our listeners, because there is a discovery that will unfold during the course of today's proceedings, and you will be hearing a new speaker on this podium who is a very special individual in the upcoming battle that is to take place whenever the general elections are called. But you know, in all of the welcome that I delivered, it is not my place to really welcome you to Castries North, because I rather sense that a real Castries North welcome can only come from someone who is from Castries North. And so, ladies and gentlemen, to start off our presentations, I would like to call on the chairman of the Castries North Constituency Branch, Mr. Lionel Ellis, who will deliver to you the welcome address. Please welcome Mr. Ellis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to everyone. It's so nice to see so many faces from all around the island of St. Lucia here in, should I say daily, the most beautiful part, Castries North. I know I'll get some attacks. I know I'll take that, right? But we got some claps, so that's good enough for me. Welcome. I just don't only want to welcome you. I want to tell you that Castries North is really on the move. We're really on the move. Over the past several months, we've been building back the branch of Castries North, and we feel that we can feel the vibe. We can feel the success of our hard work. We can feel the commitment given to the United Workers' Party, not only from us as UWPs, but from many of the people that live in the constituency of Castries North. And I'd like you to give them a big round of applause at this time. Because you know what we went through, and I don't think it's an old story. I don't want to go over it again. But we're looking for, and failing and losing the election is not an option for us. We're going full hog to make sure that we become successful at the polls. We just had a canvassing session today. We had an event last night. It was very successful, and I'm not going to break the news that Spider tried to move around and maneuver around. I'll leave that for later on. But I want to thank you very much and thank all the persons from the supporters, the well-wishers of Castries North, the members, everyone, for the hard work that's been done in Castries North at this time. But it's my job to welcome you, and I want to thank you very much for coming to Castries North. There will be a lot of things happening this weekend and next weekend. You know, we have a live today we have a community event coming up, and we want your support, and we want everybody to come out. For the first time, Castries North is having a UWP community night. Give them a round of applause. So I'm going to make it short. I'll leave the rest of my time for the secret. And not Dr. Secret. No, not Dr. Secret. So let me welcome you to Castries North, the gateway with the airport in the north right here. The first place you see when you land at George Charles Airport is Castries North. We want to welcome you. Do enjoy your time, and anytime you come in Castries North, and thank you for supporting the constituency of Castries North for the United Workers' Party. Thank you very much, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And if the chairman didn't tell you, don't expect me to tell you. But ladies and gentlemen, we are aware, we're talking about things we know now, that this month, April, is Youth Month. And we in the United Workers' Party, we recognize the youth of our party and the youth of our country. We recognize the role that they play in national development. And in the UWP, we embrace youth. We have a place for youth. We have a role for the youth. And of course, the youth is a big part of this United Workers' Party. So to start things rolling this evening, I am going to call on our first speaker. And in keeping with the spirit of Youth Month, it is going to be a young person. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome our first presenter for this evening, Mr. Kishon Fontenelle, who will address you.
All right, thank you very much for the welcome. And good night, everybody, and thank you for having me as well. Everybody alive? Yes. Okay. Mama Labor? Mama Labor? Exactly. It's not Mama Labor, it's Mama Flabo. Mama Flabo? Mama Flabo? Thank you very much. I thought it was labor in the house. All right. So my fellow St. Lucians and residents of Castries North, today I stand before you with a heavy heart and a burning concern. A concern rooted in the reality that our youth are being neglected, forgotten, and abandoned by those currently in power. Let's face it, the lack of proper, consistent after-school programs in our communities is not just a missed opportunity, it's a crisis. We're not talking about a one-time initiative launched for photo ops and media attention. We're talking about real programs, sustainable community-based structures that support our children academically, behaviorally, and creatively. Castries North deserves more than empty promises. Our youth deserve programs that build their minds, guide their decisions, and sharpen the talents that could one day change this nation. But what do we see instead? Flashy headlines, followed by silence, one-day activities with no long-term impact. And while the cameras flash and speeches are made, our children return to the streets, unseen, unsupported, and ultimately unprotected. Just look at the data. Under the St. Lucia Labour Party, over the last 4 years, youth violence and death have increased at alarming rates. The very lives we're supposed to nurture are being lost. Lost to crime, lost to hopelessness, lost to a system that no longer sees them. The statistics are just numbers. The statistics aren't just numbers. They're our sons, our daughters, our friends, and sadly, our classmates. Castries North, we are being failed. Our youth are being failed. The current administration has proven time and again that they are out of touch with the needs of our community. They have failed to create safe spaces for our young people. They have failed to invest in meaningful development programs, and they have failed to protect the future of Castries North. Let me remind you, a foundation that isn't properly built will never hold up a house, and a house that is abandoned will eventually collapse. Again, a foundation that isn't properly built will never hold up a house, and a house that is abandoned will eventually collapse. That is what's happening to our community right now. We are not investing in our youth the way we should. We are not applying enough pressure to guide them, support them, uplift them. At this rate, the only future they'll have is no future. But it doesn't have to be this way. We are the architects of our future. My fellow St. Lucians, we are the architects of our future. We hold the power right at our fingertips to make a change, to choose a better way, to choose leadership that cares. Stephenson King has had the opportunity to serve Castries North for the past 15 years. And though he has had some good years, his blue wave is currently drowning the people of Castries North. But there is hope. It's time to hand over the torch to an individual I believe will make Castries North breathe again. A leader with fresh perspective and new ideas. Mr. Stephen Favier, it is time. The youth of Castries North put our trust in you to revive us, to bring us back to light. So today, I urge you, fellow St. Lucians, make Castries North bright again. Choose the party that has always put its peoples first. Choose the party that believes in real youth development. Choose the United Workers' Party. Thank you, and may God bless our youth and our future.
Thank you very much, Kishon. To me, I heard him mention a name, but I missed it. Anyway, we'll find out more about that later. We'll find out about that later. But you know, I am betting you one thing. That was a wonderful speech by a young man. And the gist of his message is that, and you know, out of the mouth of babes, his message was that we need a change, and we are the change. So, ladies and gentlemen, the desperate, failing, outgoing St. Lucia Labour Party, they latch on to straws. And I can bet you that the only thing they heard from his speech this evening is when he said, Mamai Labour. Now let me just say something to you. Mamai Flambeau, Mamai Labour, Mamai St. Lucie, we all have to make that change. And let me make an announcement now before we go any further. Nous ka accepter vote Mamai Labour en élection sala. We all have to right the wrong. Parce que Mamai Labour say hot ki te fele we we have to come together to make it right. And you know, talking about Youth Month, I listened to a program because you know UWP, we are the trendsetters. We have a program called Meet the Opposition on a Thursday. Let you realize Konuka Alexa, the progress that we are making, they figure they had to come with a response, meet the minister. But you know, you can see the minister, but you can't meet the minister. Because you can't ask the minister a question. The minister is being interviewed by one of theirs. You know, when I am on Meet the Opposition, when Nancy is on Meet the Opposition, you know, anybody is free to call in and ask questions of the opposition. And that is a party that is not in government. The party that is in government is the party that has to be asked the questions and have to give the answers to the question. But I say to you, tanto, because tomorrow, When I am on like it is, the questions that were not answered will be asked, and some of the information that was not given will be given. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about youth, the United Workers' Party has a cadre of new candidates. And you just heard the young man say to you that Stephenson King is old news, he is still news, he is bad news. So, if you in Castries North like the Stephen business so much, we'll give you the right Stephen. Not Stephen's son. When the right Stephen finish with him, he'll be worse than Stephen's son. But we have a cadre of, at least 12 new candidates, most of whom can be considered in the category of youth. These are the people that Kishon is talking about with new ideas and new vision. You will hear one or two today. But ladies and gentlemen, as a party that do not just give lip service to youth, a party that embraces youth and empowers youth, we in the United Workers' Party have as one of our senators a young man who I will now call to address you. Ladies and gentlemen, by now he is no stranger to the Flabo platform. Please put your hands together and welcome our next speaker, Mr. Joshua Harrow. And as a matter of fact, Senator Joshua Harrow.
My Flabo! Yes! All right, we're getting started this afternoon. Now, I stand before you today to speak not just to the nation, but directly to the young people of Castries North and all across the island. Because we are at a breaking point, and the cries of our youth can no longer be ignored. Now let's talk reality. The cost of living in St. Lucia is suffocating. Young people cannot afford land, and if you try to build, construction materials are so expensive it feels impossible. Even opening a bank account comes with high fees. So how do we build a future when the system is designed to keep us out? And let's not forget the housing crisis. Young families are struggling to rent, much less own a home. The dream of independence is slipping further away, and for many in places like Castries North, the dream feels completely out of reach. Now, they said that the figures for unemployment is 8% and less. But at the same time, did they not change the playing field in how they calculated unemployment for their advantage? Because the truth of the matter is now, employment, or the lack of it, our young people are graduating with no job prospects. The tech and IT sectors, the industries of the future, are barely even present here. Realistically, we are moving into a digital age, or digital era, I should say, and our young people are stuck in the past with an outdated syllabus. While the rest of the world is embracing AI and digital transformation, our young minds are left idle, stuck on the block, and wasting away their potential. And what about education? Our syllabus is gone to the ages. Our kids are not getting real-world skills. They're only being taught to pass exams. But Castries North, a constituency with so much potential, for over 15 years, you've had a heavy burden on your shoulders, and it's been left. We see the same ghettos and the same struggles, the same ideal youth on the block. They are not lazy. They are abandoned. They are waiting for a leader who believes in them again. So I say to our candidate, a young, visionary, and ready to bring fresh energy, innovation, and real solutions to Castries North. He understands that our young people need jobs, training, and a voice. He's not coming with excuses. He's coming with action. So I say this to Castries North. Don't you deserve better after 15 years? Yes. Don't you want the heavy load carrier to finally move out of the constituency? Yes. The blue wave had its time. The dawn is amongst us, and the yellow shall shine bright in the sky. And as we speak of our candidate, I had the opportunity to speak with him. And he called me directly and said, Mr. Harrow, I wanted to have a conversation with you because I love your visions and ideas. Let's have a lunch and talk. And I saw him take out a pen and a notepad and write all the ideas down. And I felt so inspired because to see a candidate call to meet with me, take down the ideas, and then now put it into a manifesto that will help shape the constituency that I dwell in. When we as young people see our leaders invested in us, we become invested in our leaders, we become invested in our nation, we become invested in development, we become invested in our own future. Elisha Norbert said, the land, the people, and the light. There's a phrase that says, out of eternal darkness, let there be light. Let me bring this together and say, out of eternal darkness, let there be flubbo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Well, I keep saying Mr. It is Senator Harrow. Due respect, sir. You know, fortunately for us, with the United Workers' Party, we'll never have eternal darkness in St. Lucia. Because we are here. Whenever the SLP darkens this country, the United Workers' Party is there to bring back the light. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I listened to the young man, and he spoke about another young man. Again, you know something? I'm bringing the next speaker on. Maybe before he ends, he'll give you a little hint, a little clue, a little idea. But I am so inspired today. I am so excited today because finally, after so many years, I heard Senator Harrow say that there is a heavy weight on the young people of Castries North. You know, and you all there wondering what he's talking about. You all there wondering what he's talking about. The fella they used to call the heavy roller, that has now become the lazy roller. Imagine you have a heavy, lazy roller on top of you. We have to do something about that. A man who has run out of ideas, a man who now depends on bluff and deceit to continue his political career. I will tell you something. They talk about the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister said that he have two gentlemen in his cabinet who have won elections as independent, and how remarkable that is. Well, let me just say something to him. When we thought that he was independent, or they were independent, they won. We now know that none of them are independent. Let us see them do battle, because they are doing battle for the St. Lucia Labour Party. And we know that they are part of the failed government of the SLP, so we will treat them as such. So all flabeaus who went with the guy who called himself the patriot and in the end tried to make of you an idiot, you are going to let him know who is the idiot now. Because we now know the truth. The truth cannot be concealed forever. At the end of the day, you are what you are, and what is done in the dark must come out to light. I don't want to say I told you so. I warned you all. I told you all there was no independent in the race. That was deals that were taking place. But we now all know, because we have now all seen. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to now call, and I don't want to put no pressure on anybody or no burden on anybody, you know. But I'm calling a man who is in a position who might want to give you more of a hint as to whom it is that I will call after him. So, let me take the burden off me and call to the podium right now our dynamic chairman of the United Workers' Party. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to the podium Mr. Thurl Prudent, who will address you at this time.
Thank you. Mamay Flabo! Mwen vle tan encore. Mamay Flabo! All right. Bon, yen hot tan oswe ala. Hot sav. Say nou serieux. We're serious. This meeting is not a meeting about C. Stevenson King is going. Ikale, he's going. He's gone. And he must. He must. We just came back from Castries North, and I can tell you, I have good news. This seat is coming back home to the United Workers' Party. And not only is it coming back to the United Workers' Party, we met a lot of people this afternoon who told us that they had voted for Stevenson King, but that they never envisioned that their vote would have gone to the St. Lucia Labour Party. And not only are they angry, they cannot wait to right that wrong. Today, we were having a lot of fun. We were having a lot of fun because we were meeting the people that matter the most, which is the people of Castries North. Those persons who will make the difference in terms of who they really and truly want to represent them. But I want to say something to you this evening. Have no fear. To all those who believe that the swing has not happened, it is already happening even as we speak. So whether you swing pa isia, swing pa la, nou still kai swing. And we are swinging from left to right to take this country on the right path. This evening, I want to introduce a man who has proven to me as chairman of this party that I am not wasting my time in terms of supporting him, not wasting the decision that we made to endorse him as the next district representative for Castries North. And tonight I'm referring to none other but Stephen Favier. Stephen Favier. Because this is the man who has worked at the highest level internationally. And for me, who have had the experience of working internationally, when I see another man who is a St. Lucian, who have upped the level of working internationally, I have a lot of respect for this individual. Because if you can make it anywhere in the world, that means when you come back home, you can make St. Lucia a better place. This is a man who is humble. This is a guy who is not self-assuming. He don't think he's all that. He understands when he was on the world stage, and when he works on the world stage, he knows who he is. I've had that experience, so I can relate to that. But when you come back home, upavinek style, because you come here to make a difference, which is what you come here to do. So no reason in bragging about who you are, or what you've done, or what you have accomplished, because it's there for everyone to see. What you should be focusing is how do we take this country out of the rot. And this is what Stephen Favier will be doing for us. And not only that too, this is a man who is very passionate about improving the livelihood of the people of Castries North and also the youth in particular. As we walk through some of the neighborhoods to see the amount of abandoned buildings there are in some of these communities. Complete decay, represented by one of the laziest men in the history of St. Lucian politics, Stevenson King. Lazy. Because anytime people are going to start moving away from communities, it says a lot about the person who is representing that community. And so this evening, I want to introduce a man who I know without a shadow of a doubt will have people staying in the community instead of moving out of the community. And Stephen will do that. And I will say to you this evening, and I speak forcefully, I speak passionately, because I'm not a man so easily to just support anyone. If I give you my support, it's because my heart, my soul, my everything is inside of it. And so I say to you this evening, have no fear. Not only will the United Workers' Party do well in Castries North, but we will do well in every single constituency in St. Lucia. And let no one fear, let no one be afraid, because at the end of the day, a UWP government can only be good for the people of St. Lucia. We've proven it not once. We've not proven it not twice. We proved it over a period of over 40 years that UWP is the best government that St. Lucians can ever have. Because in those years, we lifted people out of poverty. In those years, we made right wrong. We made the wrong that right. We were able to take people out of abject poverty and build homes for them throughout the country. And I said to you this evening, we are on our way. Let us remain focused. Let us not lose sight of the price. And the price is not about us. The price is about the country, which is St. Lucia. The prize is about our country. And with this said, I want to say to you, embrace the man who is going to be in this podium in a moment from now. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without any shadow of a doubt, I now introduce to the podium for the very first time, Stephen Favier. Give him a big hand. Yes. Yes. That's right. That's the man. That's the man I feel passionate about. That's the man I want to see represent Castries North. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
It feels good to be here with you this evening. Let me start again. It feels really good to be with you this evening. We all stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. And tonight, I stand on the shoulders of the greatest woman I have ever known. It was she who taught me the meaning of loyalty, perseverance, integrity, morals, and in particular, what it means to be of service. Just as I needed her guidance on the most important challenge of my life, she passed away. The woman I speak of today is none other than my mother. You see, she went to meet with her maker this past Monday. But even as I stand here before you, I can feel her presence, inspiring me to face the road ahead, however difficult it may be. And I know, she will be a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And I feel in my bones, she would have said to me, Stephen, your journey must continue. This journey, our journey, it must go on. Castries North, Flabo, this journey, our journey must continue. This journey, our journey must be won. But why? Because the very future of this country that we so love is at stake. Yes. And I am here before you tonight because I've accepted the call to serve the people of this land. For those of you who have not yet met me, I was born right here. I grew up in Beasley and Summersdale. I spent most of my Wednesdays at the James's house, right across the road from the Leclerc playing field. We bought bread from the Henrys. We shopped at Wintrades. My sister Esther was a committed member of VBCC. So, as the saying goes, my neighbor's string is buried right here. That's correct. That's correct. My mother, she lived a life anchored by service. Service, firstly, to God, her family, and community, to people. That commitment to service took me at an early age to nearly every corner of this constituency, from Upper Mondodo to Agad, from Wapatat to Cedars, from Sunbill to La Panse and Waterworks Road, and all places in between. For my mother, it was never, ever about self. It was about showing up and meeting people where they were, searching for those in need, offering help, giving comfort, caring for the sick, caring for the infirm. It was always about service. Service to God, service to community. It was about people. The good book reminds us, for even the Son of Man, Jesus himself, came not to be served, but to serve. Yes. And to give his life as a ransom to many. That's it. But far too many of those entrusted with leadership in this our country have forgotten this invocation. Following the example of my mother, I too had the immense honor of serving this country. First, as a civil servant, and subsequently as a regional diplomat and as an ambassador. Most recently, I had the distinct privilege of serving as the senior advisor to one of the most influential global leaders, a role never previously held by someone from the Eastern Caribbean. In these efforts, my country, our country, has always been a co-equal responsibility and my priority. But unfortunately, too many of us have strayed from the purpose of leadership, which is to help and support people. Leaders are elected to address your needs, our needs. But in this country, instead, all too often they serve only themselves. There is an old African saying, the chief always eats last. He must ensure that everyone in the village has eaten before he eats. In Akan culture, this reflects the idea that a leader carries the burden of the people and ensures that their well-being is placed before his own. Is this the case in St. Lucia? No. I am hearing from you that in this country, the chiefs and their friends, they eat first, they eat second, they eat third, they even eat last. It is therefore no surprise whatsoever that our institutions of governance are all in disarray or have died from a lack of attention. The very systems meant to support and safeguard and protect you have been broken or willfully neglected. It is for this reason we must meet the imperative of this moment. It is for this reason we must win the upcoming election. But we must do it the right way. We must do so by again earning the trust and confidence of each and every St. Lucian. For what is glory? What is glory without honor? What is winning? What is winning without integrity? What is leadership? Tell me, what is leadership without a genuine desire to serve? And this is a caution to us all. Service must never only be to party. It must never ever be only to protect the victory. It must only be focused on people. We must reach out to everyone, even those whose trust we have yet to earn. Putting food on your table, paying your bills, and meeting your commitments should never be determined by whether you support yellow, red, green, or blue. Let me be clear. Let me speak directly to the people of Castries North. I want to be your servant. I want to be a servant to all. Whatever party you support, I promise also to work for you. The future of this land requires us to return to our foundations. Honesty, integrity, service to community, but above all, to faith. Amen. Belinda Favier has done her duty. She has run her race. She has passed the torch. It is now for me. It is for you. It is for us now to seize this moment for the good of this country. I am here to put myself at your service and the service of future generations, to help deliver to them the opportunities that they both need and deserve. Flabo, Castries North, are you ready to fight for this country? Flabo? I can't hear you. Are you ready to fight for this country? Yes. Are you ready to right the wrong? Yes. Are you ready to win? Yes. Are you ready to win? Yes. St. Lucia, are you ready to come together to take this country back and put it back on track? Well, let us unite to save this country, not just for us, but for the future of this, our fair Helen. If not us, who? If not now, I thank you.
Certainly deserves a standing ovation, ladies and gentlemen. Another round of applause for the next parliamentary representative of Castries North. Yes. What can they say? You know, I heard them say, that is the SLP, the party of secret lies and propaganda. And thinking about it, Stephenson King belongs there, you know, because he's deceitful and he's a bluffer. But I heard them say of Stephenson King, that is the SLP, that the only thing he has is a birth certificate. At that time, he was a UWP when they said so. He then pretended that he was independent, and today we now know that he is with the SLP. The only difference, and that is the hypocrisy of SLP, the only difference, as far as I'm concerned, in fact, I asked, what is the difference? Isn't that the same guy who only had a birth certificate? They told me, no, he now have a marriage certificate. So, but you cannot say that of the caliber of people that we are presenting to you. Here is a man who has made it on the international stage, garnered experience, learned the ropes, and has now come back to give service to his people. And he, you know, I could not have said it better than he did in terms of service. I say, may it have to be the son of a preacher. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I am satisfied that the UWP is ready. I am satisfied that the UWP is in a good place. Because Stephenson King told us that he was independent and that he was a patriot. We know that the man only has self-interest. And we recognize that he is lazy. Because the same Stephenson King who was Minister of Infrastructure with the UWP is still Minister of Infrastructure today. So when things were happening in terms of the record number of roads that we built and repaired, you know it wasn't because of Stephenson King. Because if it was because of him, you wouldn't be complaining about roads like you are doing today. So, we know now that he is in the red. So after this election, he will be singing the blues. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that mission, you know, to introduce the next speaker was above me. That above my pay grade. So we had to take the chairman. We had to take the chairman to do that. But now the secret is out. Let it be said on the mountain tops of Castries North that we now have a man who can provide proper representation for the people of Castries North. So, let me be a bit of an opportunist now. Let me be the first to say, welcome to the new parliamentary representative of Castries North. Now, you know, they say, people talk about money, they say money like to be where money is. They say success begets success. And I suspect vision attracts vision. And the reason why I am seeing so many talented, intelligent, visionary young people joining the ranks of the United Workers' Party, whether as senator, whether as candidate, whether as member, It is because they recognize that there is vision in the United Workers' Party. And you know, everything starts with the head. It starts from the top. And if your leaders do not have vision, had it been Stephen, he would tell you something from the Bible about that. You know? But there's something that you will perish if you don't have that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have perished for long enough. Now is the time for us to restore. I'm hearing myself echoing over there. Now is the time for us to restore the good name of this country. Now is the time for us to restore the progress of this country. Now is the time for us to bring back the development of this country. Now is the time for us to bring back a prime minister who can run this country effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for that? I want to introduce to you, now that we have given you the candidate, I am going to present to you the leader, the prime minister in waiting, the man who will lead that team and execute all the plans and programs of the United Workers' Party for the coming term. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the parliamentary representative from Miku South, the leader of the United Workers' Party, and more importantly, the next Prime Minister of this lovely country, the Honorable Alan Michael Castries.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, there are so many great people I have to recognize, but you know, we're starting to put an amazing team of men and women together to rescue St. Lucia. So I want to acknowledge Marcella Johnson, who is here tonight. I want to recognize Mr. Dominique Fede, who's here in the room. My other deputy political leader, Mr. Guy Joseph, who's here as well. And he's not a stranger to me. He's not a stranger to our team, but I'm so happy that he was officially launched tonight. My very dear friend, Mr. Stephen Favier. We also have several chairpersons and other members of our executive who are here. So please let me just say thank you to all of you for being here this evening and continuing to support our Sunday lives. Is Peter here? Where is he? Oh, okay. He gave up his seat. What a gentleman. I hope he doesn't give up the seat in Castries. You know, Flabos are very, very, very good people and very hospitable people. There you are, Peter. We were just talking about you. And we're just saying, you know, look, we're very decent, God-fearing people. And I'm very proud to be a Flabo. And I was meeting a young man who was here tonight, and he said to me, politically, I just want to apologize because the job I have, I can't be wearing the party colors. I said, my brother, Flabo is in the heart and it's in the soul. It's not on the shirt. But I know there's a new side to Flabo. And those people who think that they can take advantage of Flabo, I want to let them know no more. Because we cannot afford to allow to continue what has been continuing. Almost from the beginning of when the Labour Party came in, we could sense that there was something different about this particular group of men and women. The vindictiveness, the anger, the level of arrogance that they had. And that is after getting 15 seats in elections. You'd have thought that there would have been humility and that there would have been a focus on putting the people of this country first. But from the beginning, they came up with a new chant. When they couldn't justify saying to people, we put you first, they had to say, we have to come out to protect the victory. You know the difference between a good political leader and a good political party and a bad one. There are persons that look to make excuses. And from the beginning, remember, leave it to the science. It is raining. It's because of the rain, right? It's always somebody else's fault as to why they cannot get the work done. If I had been given the opportunity to speak in Parliament, and it's very interesting to hear what they said, that Hilaire said that I, Alan Chasney, prevented him and Richard Frederick from speaking in the Parliament. You would think that I was in charge. I had to remind him I came here to listen to him and remind him that the government gave him 50% of the economy to run, between tourism, between investment, and between CIP. And you'd have thought that given everything that's taken place in tourism, everything that's taking place with foreign direct investment in this country, and everything that particularly has taken place with CIP, you would have thought that he would have been anxious and understood the responsibility that he had to tell the people of St. Lucia what's going on. But you see, instead, the politics rules the day. They were more interested in allowing me to speak. Because if I spoke, then I would have provided the perfect excuse for them not to have to speak about the budget. Because what they would have said is, oh, Chasney was lying. And I had to prove to all of you that Chasney was lying, and it would have become about me and not about running the country. So let me reverse it. This old dog has seen too many tricks. Okay? I am not going to be a crutch for the Labour Party. It is time for the Labour Party to stand up like men and women and defend their strategy and defend their track record. Now let me share some things with all of us, because we are seeing some interesting things taking place in our country. All of a sudden, steps are being built, sidewalks are being done, walls are going up, bus shelters are being built. All of a sudden, you couldn't eat roads, but now they're vomiting concrete. But you know what's interesting about what they're doing? There's no plan. This is a reaction because they feel the pressure of the United Workers' Party on their back. And let me share with you why they're feeling the pressure. Let me share with you the exact details as to how this government has failed this country. If you compare the budget, I remember they came out and they said, $2.2 billion budget. First time in the history of St. Lucia that we have a $2 billion budget. But I've always known that bigger is not always better. So here we go. If we compare the budget of 2019, which was the last year before COVID, and compare it to the $2 billion budget, let's break it down. In 2024, the people of St. Lucia paid $300 million more in taxes in 2024 than you paid in 2019. Let me repeat that again. The people of St. Lucia in 2024 have paid $300 million in 1 year more in taxes than you paid in 2019. So if there is 80,000 workers in this country, that means that each worker in this country has paid $3,000 $750 more in taxes in 2024 than they did in 2019. Now you would think, if you paid all those taxes, that life would be better. Bigger budget. The government has collected more taxes. So it means that it would be more services and more benefits to us. But here's how it breaks down. The gas price in the country in 2019 was $13 a gallon. $13 a gallon. The gas prices in 2024, $16.50. $3.50 more per gallon of gas in 2024 than you paid in 2019. The price of bread has doubled. The days of paying 25 cents a loaf, gone. Now it's 50 cents. Bus fares have gone up by 35%. Cooking gas, kerosene, top-ups, everything that you're paying for costs you more money. So remember, you're paying more taxes, and the cost of living is costing you more. So that leaves no more ching 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 in your pocket. All the ching 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 is gone. And we know where it's gone to. It's gone to gouvernement. That's where it's gone to. Now, can we say that services are better today? Is healthcare better in 2024 than it was in 2019? When you used to go to the healthcare centers, Panadol, water, people to serve you, medication, people to take care of you. Today, not even a bottle of water you can get. And we all know how they treated Skinny and how many more people have been treated the same way that Skinny was. It's an everyday occurrence. Now, let's not play politics. The Medical and Dental Association said, healthcare in this country has never been worse. It has gotten so bad that the local doctors, St. Lucian doctors, St. Lucian nurses, who had been through the most difficult of times, making Victoria Hospital work when nobody else could make Victoria Hospital work, who made the sacrifice for us during COVID, who we celebrated, put their lives on the line to protect St. Lucians and to take care of St. Lucians. You know how bad it has to be for them to break and for them to warn the government that if they don't fix the problem, that the doctors and nurses would resign. Well, the Labour Party doesn't listen. They're too busy because they know everything. Yelling at people, oh, Chasney this, Chasney's that. Chasney this, every day. The people in St. Lucia are tired of that. But it didn't change anything. Healthcare has never been worse according to the Medical and Dental Association. The homicide rate in 2019 was 46. 46. Last year it was 78. And who was it, the lady in Sufer who said a half a loaf is better than none? Look at the state of our roads in this country. Everywhere you go is potholes. And there's a reason for that. And I want us to think about this for a moment, you know. In the cabinet, you have a prime minister in Favier. And he used to be the Minister of Infrastructure for 5 years. And now he's the Minister of Finance. You have in Stevenson King a person who used to be the Minister of Finance, and today, for the last 2 terms, has been the Minister of Infrastructure. Now, anyone who's been in cabinet would know a Minister of Infrastructure could only be as successful as the Minister of Finance lets him be. In their case, both of them have been Ministers of Finance, and both of them have been Ministers of Infrastructure. So 20 years of experience between them. And they're still complaining about the rain? But when we came into government in 2016, for years, the Ministry of Infrastructure was spending $1 million a year on maintaining the roads of St. Lucia. United Workers' Party changed it that every year that we were in government, $10 million a year. We were not robbing the people of St. Lucia by putting step workers to clean our main roads. We gave permanent jobs to people to make sure the roads were clean, and if the road was not clean, we knew exactly who to go and find because he had a job or she had a job to maintain the road. And everybody won. These things don't happen by accident. So again, we have to ask ourselves, were we better off in 2019 than we were in 2024? You paid more taxes in 2024? The cost of goods, gas, bus fares, bread, kerosene, cooking gas, everything is higher. Healthcare is worse, security is worse, the roads are worse. Everything is worse. And remember, $2 billion budget. You see, because the Labour Party themselves have not understood what has happened. And what has happened is that tourism today is no better than it was in 2019. In fact, tourism today is worse than it was in 2019. Because they're talking about the numbers of arrivals, but it's not about the numbers of arrivals, it's about the expenditure. And because of the British, we had more room nights in St. Lucia. When people stay more room nights, they spend more money. Agriculture, so much worse than it was in 2019. So much worse. Manufacturing hasn't changed. Where are the projects for economic development in this country? So the only thing, the sector that I see that is actively doing better is construction. And a lot of the construction projects are the projects that the United Workers' Party left for them. So how is it that the economy has grown? It grew because of inflation. The cost and the price of goods coming into St. Lucia went up. And it was made worse because the government put a 2.5% levy. Because remember, in 2019, the VAT rate in St. Lucia was 12.5%. No property tax. Today, it's 12.5% plus a 2.5% levy. And you're paying more taxes on gas. They're giving you less of a subsidy on cooking gas and kerosene. You are worse off. We are all worse off because of this government. Now, the good news is everybody in St. Lucia knows that. Everybody in St. Lucia can feel it. Whether you are Flabo or Labour, it has no discrimination. They cannot protect the average Labourite in this country. As Stephen said, only the chiefs are eating. They're the only ones who don't know that there's a problem. But everybody else knows that they have a problem in this country. And everybody can feel it. And they have no solution because they don't even know and understand what is going on in our country today. Our justice system. You're telling me a judge can recuse himself from a court case, saying that there was political interference? And the judge is moved, and nobody from civil society says anything? And you know why they're not saying anything? And we're all scared to say. They either have been corrupted by giving contracts, or they have been intimidated and are scared to say anything. Because they know that if they say anything against this government, they will be victimized. And when you have big men in this country who are scared, far less everybody else in this country. You had a situation where a child was given a teddy bear, and Richard Frederick would lambaste the mother and get the mother to complain. But the mother has other children who have jobs. And some of those jobs are with government. You think that she was not scared? But sometimes I wonder who is right and who is wrong. Are we right for staying silent? It's something we all have to ask ourselves. Because history has shown us that when we remain silent on these issues, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. United Workers' Party came into office in 2016 because the people of this country wanted a change. And they bought into the idea of building a new St. Lucia. They bought into the idea, the United Workers' Party, back then and still today, believes that we have to have an affordable health system. We believe we have an education system that allows us to go and compete in the rest of the world. We believe that regardless of what neighborhood you live in, everybody should have security. We want to go back to the days that you can sleep with your window open. We want to go back to the days when your neighbors were like your family, and when your children were out, it was everybody's child. We want to go back to the days of giving the Lord the recognition that he deserves. Yes. And we were almost there. And that's why I want to compare to 2019. Because when you spoke to people in 2019 in St. Lucia before COVID, everybody was smiling. There was hope. There was prosperity. The diaspora was coming back home. When people were willing to leave Canada, to leave New York, leave Miami, and leave London to come back to St. Lucia. I remember meeting St. Lucians who were from Soufrière, and when they went down and saw the Hummingbird Beach project and saw the square and saw what we were doing with the track, they had pride. And all of a sudden, Soufrière was going to become the second city that it always had been, and if not surpass the other towns in St. Lucia. It's interesting to see today the same Don Lockerbie that they criticized is building or built the new track in Jamaica. I want you to go online and see the track is in the colors of the Jamaican flag. St. Kitts is now building a new track. And guess who the model was? St. Lucia. When you go to Miami at the airport, you'll see a new football stadium being built. That's Beckham's team. The person building that, Lockerbie. And let's think for a moment and ask ourselves, how is it that we were convinced what was good was bad? Lockerbie's contract was $33 million, of which he and his company got $2.5 million for all of the designs. And for the $33 million, we got the Soufriere track, and the football field, and the lights, and the big billboard that they've not put up. You got Miku playing field. You got the Deriso playing field. You got Denry, world-class football field, training facilities, lights, and you got the academy. The government today has taken a loan at the NLA, and I want to say that $33 million came as a grant from the Taiwanese. We didn't have to pay anything back. But today the government would go and borrow $80 million from the NLA. And I'm saying it again to the young people of this country. Your future has been robbed by that loan. Because that loan is costing the NLA $800,000 a month for 15 years. Let me repeat that number again. Bebe, who's a young man, says he's the Minister of Sports, took a loan for $80 million. We have no idea what he spent the money on. We only know who got the contracts. And that loan is costing the NLA $800,000 a month. That is money that was supposed to pay for scholarships. That is money that's supposed to pay for the clubs to go and travel overseas. That is money to be able to pay for school sports. That money has been robbed from the young people of this country. And what makes it more disgusting and unacceptable is that he does not understand that when he does not put the proper government structures in place, meaning to make sure that there's a proper bidding process and everybody knows where the money has gone, and when members of his family get the contracts, and that those same members who got the contracts are also building his properties, what he is doing is creating speculation, because everybody has to ask, what is going on? We have said, and we continue to say, it is time for us to right the wrong. I can go through tourism, I can go through education, I can go through healthcare, I can go through the state of the roads, I can go through what's taking place with sports, I can take what's taking place with investment in this country, I can go through what's going with agriculture in this country, but more importantly, I can look at what's not taking place in this country. There's no plan. Nobody has spoken to the people of St. Lucia about what's taking place in the world. Not a word. And how it's going to affect us. And what is the government doing to prepare the country to withstand what is going to be taking place? If you think the recession in 2008 and 2010 was bad, if you think times were difficult in COVID, if we have no plan in place to deal with what's going to come down, we are going to be in serious trouble. We've been doing some polls, and let me share some of the things that those polls said. 65% of the people in this country believe the country is going in the wrong direction. 65%. The poll also showed that the independent voters, 85% of them believe the country is going in the wrong direction. That means that they have recognized themselves that we need a plan and we need a team that can right the wrong and put us back on the right track, because they have recognized that we are on the wrong track. United Workers' Party has responded to that cry. We have 12 new candidates coming into our party. We have a gentleman who just walked in with his wife. Good evening, Benson, Emile, who is going to be our new rep in Dennery South. We have a combination of men and women with a variety of experiences, both here in St. Lucia as business persons, who have been abroad. Stephen, two other members, I can't say their names as yet, but I'm sure everybody knows who I'm speaking about. We have people who have toiled in St. Lucia, both at the community level, at the education level, and at the business level, and have all been successful in whatever they have done. All of them. And more importantly, I've surrounded myself with leaders. Not one of the candidates that we have can be accused of being a yes person. Not one of the candidates do we have that is here for their own interest, but are here to make sure that we build a new St. Lucia. And most importantly, we have a group of people and men and women of integrity. I'm going to have to leave at this moment, but I want to say to all of us tonight, I want to appeal to all of us. Don't get caught up in the rah-rah. Don't be fooled by the work that you're seeing going on the ground. That won't last. That's not going to take this country where we need to go. I want to say to all St. Lucians, when the Labour Party comes to give you money, remember, they collected $300 million more in taxes from you every year. They've taken $3,750 from every working St. Lucian in this country. So when they come with their trinkets, that is yours. Don't feel any way, you know. Don't feel bad, don't feel guilty, nothing. The money they're giving you belongs to you. Take the money. Enjoy the money. But when it comes to election day, remember, we have to right the wrong. And we know that they are putting us on the wrong track. And the new team of leaders of United Workers' Party will put this country back on the right track. Thank you very much.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the incoming Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan Michael Chasney. Now, let's talk a little about the outgoing Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Mr. Philip J. Pierre. Now, I don't want him only to leave as Prime Minister, so I'm putting Chico on notice that we also want him to be out of Parliament completely. Because I am tired of hearing when we ask about the economy, it is supply chain issues. We talk about inflation, the war in Ukraine. What about the roads? It is raining. There is high crime in this country. I'm not a police. There is corruption in government that we have never seen, like we have never seen before. They have not fingered my ministers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not the kind of prime minister we want in this country. Now, you know, it's very interesting. Like I told you, we have meet the opposition on a Thursday morning, and now they have meet the minister on a Friday morning. But you know, in the UK, there is a TV show called Mr. Minister, and it is a comedy show about stupid politicians. It is a comedy show about stupid politicians. So Mr. Fellner, and by the way, that's the host of their program, of their show. Mr. Fellner, I congratulate you for finding the most fitting name for the show for your government and your ministers. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard, well, the chairman introduced the candidate for this constituency, who is the incoming representative for this constituency. You heard the incoming prime minister, and now I want to say to you that we have a complete team. You know, the incoming prime minister mentioned Mr. Benson Emil. Mr. Emil, I just want to welcome you and your wife. You know, I will not miss that opportunity. I will to welcome you and your wife, and to be the first to say that Mr. Emil is the incoming parliamentary representative of Denry South. You know how proud, I've been around a little while, you know, people. Nothing to do with my age. And I've seen this UWP, I've seen its growth, and I've seen some of our members who engage in betrayal, like the current rep for this constituency, who's representing this constituency. But today, when I see a party that can rejuvenate itself, okay, a rebirth with fresh, competent young men and women, like Marcella Johnson for Grosili, like Stephen Favier for Castries North, like Benson Emil for Denry South. We have Elisha in Miku North, Rush Clark in Castries Central, Peter Chico in Castries East, Denry North. We have Bradley Filgens. Ladies and gentlemen, I suspect Viewfort South, we have Lady Lee. Labrie, we have Laura. Now, you know that technique you all trying on me, that won't work. You all want me to go down the whole list because there are a couple names you all don't know yet. I'm not revealing. You have to stay tuned if you want to know who the others are. But ladies and gentlemen, I am a proud Flambeau. And Flambeau makes me a proud St. Lucian. And we have every reason, in light of all the dismal failures we've seen in government, we have every reason to have hope, and we have every reason to be inspired. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, in a great team, you have the leaders and you have the team members. We just heard from the captain, but you know every team has vice captain. The work is so ominous. The work to be done is so great that we, the Flambeau Party, United Workers' Party, want to ensure that we hit the ground running. We have 2 deputies to support our captain. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I will not let you leave here tonight if you do not hear from both of those deputies. Now, let me just tell you the plan of the St. Lucia Labour Party, because they know that they're in trouble. Right now, they're trying to count seats. They're carrying out all kinds of surveys, and they're seeing it's dwindling day by day. The Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, admitted our chances are dwindling, right? Continuously. That is an admission from the soul. They will never mind all the bravado. They know that ancillary canneries is gone. They know that, don't go there yet. They know that Castries Southeast is gone. Yes. And these are the seats of our deputies. Yes. So you know what they plan to do? They're giving Girard all kinds of money to try to buy people in ancillary. But like the political leader and incoming prime minister said to you, it is your money. Now I say to you, take it, eat it, drink it, and when you finish the last part of the process, let them go and do it. Quitte moi dit ça en créole. Prends l'argent, manger, boire, avec Dio, yo kay fini process là. Aïe. So, it is your money. It is your money. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the plan they have for ancillary canneries. But Favier has proven himself. Nothing can beat performance, and nothing can stand in the way of momentum. And he has the momentum. But you know what they plan for Guy? They've been trying for the last 20 years to bring down Guy Joseph. That has not worked. The plan is that around August, that will give you an idea of when is election. Around August, they go into effect an arrest on Guy Joseph. Now you know, according to our laws, they can just pick you up for at least 72 hours. Okay, and then let you go. But by that time, you know St. Lucian's already. Well, big news flash, they arrest Guy Joseph. So people will say all kinds of things. It's drugs, it's this, it's that, it's corruption, it's still. But you know, let me tell you something. I'm saying that today on this platform, if they try that, they will see the force of the United Workers' Party in this country. Because you touch one, you touch all. And they better think again. Because that is not the United Workers' Party of old. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring on to this podium the deputy political leader that money cannot stop. The deputy political leader that has suddenly made a ghost appear. The deputy political leader that it is established. You know, let me just tell you a little story. I went to Ancillary the other day, they had a meeting there. So I had a little change in my pocket. I'm not a gambler, but you know, when you know things for sure, you can play yourself. I say, I take in a bet that Dominic Favier will be the next parliamentary representative for Ancillary Canneries. You know, up to now, nobody can take me on. You know? So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the podium our deputy political leader, the next parliamentary representative for Ancillary Canneries, Senator Dominic Favier, the small axe who will cut down the big trees.
Flabo people, how are you tonight? Now I must big up my folks from Ancillary Canneries. I see people from Jackmel over there. I see some Canneries folks over there. I see the chairman, Mr. Lancico, is here leading from the front. Oh, his brother is over there as well. I see some other people from Canneries over there. We have a big squad. The whole room is Ancillary Canneries. Well, I'm so happy to be here with you. You know, as we're in Castries North, I want to, not only because I'm in Castries North, but I want to big up my good friend, Stephen Favier, and welcome my brother to the fold. Looking forward to working with you. I've known Stephen for about 25 years. So that really tells you that when we knew each other, both of us had a lot of hair on our heads. But how times have gone by and things have changed. I want to big up my good friend Benson Emil. Benson told me over the years that he is not a politician
I went to Dennery and he had a meeting with his group, his constituency group. And I saw the man stood there with a microphone, no notes, and spoke coherently to his people for an entire hour, non-stop, and made absolute sense. And I thought, wow. So Benson, I am looking forward to seeing you officially into the field of politics and bringing home the Dennery seat to the United Workers' Party. You know, the rep for this, the outgoing rep, not you, Stephen. You are the incoming rep. But the rep for this constituency likes to say Sapa Flabo. You've heard him say it, right? Whenever he wants to feel good about the betrayal move that he has made, he likes to say Sapa Flabo, Flapa Flabo. But you know, I want to say that you will agree with me that the United Workers' Party is better off tonight. You see, who was the prime minister who bent over at Jazz for Wyclef Jean to jump over him? No, I must ask you that to make sure that you know, because I've been toying with that question all day, and I want to make sure that you, the UWPs, know. Who was the prime minister who bent over for Wyclef Jean to jump over him? Now you see, that's the kind of attitude we got rid of. We got rid of some characters. And who was that minister whose visa was revoked, who is no longer with the United Workers' Party? Wise people in the United Workers' Party. And there is a former minister from Ancillary Canneries who used to be with us, who calls all the talk shows. And he said, Spider, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar. Who are we talking about? Now, these are the people we got rid of from the United Workers' Party. So now we are El Quapo free, we are Snake free, and we are Mondezot free. So we are a bigger, stronger, United Workers' Party under the leadership of Alan Michael Chasney. And we are going forward with Alan Michael Chasney. And they need to do what? Put that in their pipeline? There you go. And so I hope, and I know that the heavy roller is watching tonight. I know he's not missing this meeting, because he's received the news that a Joshua is coming to deliver the people on this Palm Sunday. He knows. He knows it. Now today is Palm Sunday. Y'all are supposed to come with your Bibles, eh? And you're supposed to know who Joshua is in the Bible, and who Joshua delivered the people from Egypt under Pharaoh's bondage. And just like Joshua, we have our own Joshua, but his name is Stephen. And Stephen will deliver the people of Castries North from the bondage of failed Labour Party policies. And so I could talk about Stephen for the whole night. Not that Stephen, this Stephen. But tonight I want to talk to you about betrayal. You would remember that when Stephenson King was made Prime Minister by Sir John Compton, the father of our party, that the Labour Party said that he wasn't smart enough. He wasn't bright enough. He didn't have enough credentials to his name. And he wasn't fit or befitting of the job of Prime Minister of the country. Y'all remember that, right? And Stephenson King, in his own words, said that even though he didn't have fancy degrees and he didn't go to the best schools, but he had profited from the best people in the business. He said that Henry Girodi and John Compton had formed and shaped and molded him and made him into the great politician that he was at the time. Y'all remember that? Yes. And so he said clearly in his own words that Sir John had made an indelible mark to his political career. Now I want to fast forward to 2006, and this would be the second coming of Sir John, when he was trying to come back into the party, and Vaughan Lewis was then the leader. And a lot of you here will remember that famous Conference of Delegates meeting in Soufriere. And a lot of you here supported Sir John because you had made up your minds that Vaughan Lewis could not take the UWP into the future. But you know who was the chairman of the UWP at that time? And you know who did not support Sir John? And so whether a man would have done so much for you, would have taken you from an admin person in the law firm of, I think it was Flosac and Girodi, propel you to the highest office in the land, gave you the Castries North seat on a platter, made sure that you had the fullest cooperation as the president of the youth arm. And then, here comes this man relying on you, not just for him to come back to be the leader of the UWP, but he was relying on you to help him to rescue the country at the time. That's what Sir John's coming back for. Sir John selflessly built himself or built up the courage in his old age to say, look, I need to come back and to rescue St. Lucia from the perils of the Labour Party. That after 2 terms of Labour, that St. Lucia could not go forward under the SLP and Kenny Anthony, who was the Labour leader at the time. But instead of supporting Sir John, like most of you, Stephenson King betrayed John Compton for Vaughan Lewis, who had no future with the United Workers' Party. So I'm taking you down memory lane to show you that Stephenson King has always been a betrayer. Now, let's go forward. I want to go forward again to show you some other facts in history. Sir John eventually passed, and we had several prime ministers who came to St. Lucia to eulogize and to pay tributes to John Compton. I remember George Mallet making a very touching speech, and he ended it this way, and he said, "Until we see again, my brother, John." And then there was the Prime Minister from Grenada, Keith Mitchell, who spoke. The other Mitchell from St. Vincent was also invited. Sir James Mitchell came over from the Grenadines and spoke at the funeral as well. Dwight Venner, the deceased governor of the Eastern Caribbean Bank, also spoke at the funeral. I remember the lawyer, Mr. Maplazy, Kenneth Maplazy, spoke at the funeral as well. But why didn't the family, why didn't Sir John's widow allow Stephenson King to speak at the funeral of the prime minister that he succeeded? That's an important question that we must all ask ourselves here tonight. But publicly, on another scenario, Sir John's widow said that Stephenson King had hastened her husband's death. Yeah. Y'all remember that? Yes. Stephenson King had hastened her husband's death. He betrayed Sir John again when the issue about who signed the letter that fired Rufus Bousquet. And many people said that this letter was a fake letter, that Sir John was too sick to sign, and that it must have been made up, and it must have been someone else who wanted to get at Rufus Bousquet. And Sir John, you would recall, the letter was prepared by Stephenson King, the acting Prime Minister's office. Yes. And then he went to Sir John and brought the letter so that an ailing Sir John would sign this document to terminate Rufus Bousquet from the then United Workers' Party. Stephenson King said nothing in the defense of Sir John. But what he did instead is that after Sir John's death, he promoted Rufus Bousquet, brought him back into the cabinet of the then United Workers' Party, gave him more portfolios, formed all kinds of deals, and betrayed the very man that he told the St. Lucia Labour Party, then in opposition, that had raised him up and was responsible for every single aspect of his political development. And that's the man that we once meddled with in our politics. I remember clearly, we were all sitting at lunch. Guy was there, Spider was there, the Prime Minister, Alan Shastney, was there. And we were talking about the Labour Party candidates that they were announcing in every constituency. And I turned to Stephenson King and I said, Steve, I noticed that Labour hasn't announced a candidate against you. He said, I said, boy, they must be really afraid of you. In my naivety, you know. Boy, they must be really afraid of you. And he chuckled. And every single time I see Stephenson King, I remember that chuckle. Because that chuckle was a chuckle of betrayal. And there I was thinking that we had a decent man, an honorable man, a man who had came up through the ranks of our youth arm, and a man who we can all trust. But then the same Stephenson King, for weeks later, went on television with our political leader. Y'all remember that? The bell was rang. And the Sunday before the elections, he was on the TV with Alan Shastney telling the country how great the United Workers' Party was. And the United Workers' Party was the best party for St. Lucia. And all of those are facts. Stephenson King can never deny all what I'm saying here now. And so it's important because, you see, as we usher this young man into the future, we must understand the past of betrayal. And I remember that National Council meeting that followed the betrayal. And I remember attending that meeting, and I looked at the faces of every member of the National Council from every constituency. And I saw the feeling of betrayal on their countenance. I saw how a man whom all of us had trusted blindly had taken advantage of all of us in the United Workers' Party. And so we never understood the hurt and the bitterness that Stephenson King carried when we, the delegates, voted him out as leader, because we understood that Stephenson King could not carry the United Workers' Party forward. That wasn't an Alan Shastney doing. The constituencies across the island decided that we needed a man who can take us to the future. We needed someone who can take the United Workers' Party. And that man we decided then, and we still have decided now, is Alan Michael Shastney. So when King was the leader, you weren't sure if it was El Quapo was the prime minister or King was the prime minister. Up to now, Stephenson King has not dealt with the rumors that he was slapped by El Quapo. How could we, the good, wise people of the United Workers' Party, decide to continue with a leader who is not sure about himself to say that El Quapo never slapped me? Not even that has happened. And so now running a country is a serious matter. Yes. But you see, what you saw in Stephenson King back then is what is happening to the Ministry of Infrastructure. Look at the state of the roads in our country. Look at how you go to communities, and he says that he's one of the best ministers of infrastructure. You all saw that? He was driving in this car, talking to someone, maybe himself, and said to them that people told him his work is good. And then I saw a man that has betrayed a vision that speaks about a national vision for St. Lucia, then decides that today he's better off talking about street signs. He's better off talking about these metal railings you put on the side of the road to prevent people. Guardrails. I mean, guardrails and street signs. As the Minister of Infrastructure in the year of infrastructure, is that what the senior minister of the country is going to say to the people is a mark of success? But that's what we saw in Stephenson King. He is one of the most ineffective ministers of infrastructure we've ever seen in the history of the country. And so that's why it's important that we rally around Stephen Favier. It's important that we put the right Stephen to govern the affairs of Castries North, one of the most prosperous constituencies in St. Lucia. A man that has amassed so much experience globally in his travels around the Caribbean and indeed the world. And so, Stephen, I want to say to you that I am looking forward to your service to this country, my brother. I know that you will do well. And so the betrayal will be replaced by a group of men and women who will take St. Lucia forward. Where's Marcella? She went outside for some water. And so I'm excited by the talent that is coming in the United Workers' Party. Politics should prove the people's idea of it, where it believes that most politicians are liars or betrayers. And what Stephenson King has done, he has betrayed a noble profession. And that's why I can never forgive him. And I can never ever look at him in the same light again, because what he has done is treasonous to the United Workers' Party. And so, Mamai Flabo, the producer is saying to me that my time is up. And as much as I'm enjoying bringing this to you, I want to say to you tonight, let's rally with Stephen. Let's make Stephenson King pay for his sins. The United Workers' Party, we are not dead in Castries North. We are very much alive. A nice, better, bigger, stronger United Workers' Party. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Dominic. That was Senator Dominic Favier, our Deputy Political Leader and next Parliamentary Representative for Ancillary Canaries. You know, before I call on our final speaker to close the show, I just want to say this. You know, Dominic mentioned that Stephenson King, the snake, the lazy roller, that Mondezod, and who was the other one you mentioned? And El Kwapo. They are going around saying Sapa Flambeau. I'm not surprised, but I understand them. Because when someone like Stephenson King looks around him and he sees all of those bluffers and liars, and for the first time he come across people who are more deceptive than himself, he knows for sure Sapa Flambeau. When he looks at what passes for government in this country today, that has failed us in health, that has failed us as far as security is concerned, that has failed us in terms of our roads, and in terms of the cost of living in this country, he knows for sure Sapa Flambeau. When you look at a government that has engaged in tax gouging, that has taken more than $300 million a year from you, St. Lucians, from your pockets, and the political leader computed it and said it was about $3,000 per person, you know, and now they're trying to use that same money to buy you back. We know Sapa Flambeau. When Stephenson King looks around him and he sees El Kwapo sitting in a cabinet, a man that was expelled from the United Workers' Party, you know for sure Sapa Flambeau. When you look at the level of corruption that is taking place in our government today, you look at the CIP program in St. Lucia, where billions of dollars are not accounted for. That's not the Flambeau style. Sapa Flambeau. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you see politicians becoming millionaires overnight. I was told that for many, many years before I went to school, there were nursery rhymes that were taught to children to teach them principles and values. And one of those stories was the Cinderella story. I hear they pack that now. And now, if you go to school, the new textbook for kindergartens is the baby story. So, you have politicians who have a portfolio of real estate in the millions in a space of 3 years. You know, Sapa Flambeau. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at the most corrupt bunch that you see. And with this rejuvenated new Flambeau that you are seeing today, I can tell you, our future is bright and there is hope. And let me just say, to those who are saying, Sapa Flambeau are hot sa, and be a part of. We don't want them. And while I'm one who welcomes every vote, you see those names I mentioned? They can stay where they are. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is an honorable party. And when we elect those 17 men and women, they will be deserving of the title of honorable. And let me say, have no fear. We know now who is independent and who is not. We are not going to fall for the bluff another time. And Dominic talked about all what Sir John did for King and so on. That's nothing new. I mean, again, I don't want to say I told you so. But I told you all that this man is disgusting in my view. This man has no principle in my view. This man has no integrity in my view. And when I said it, some people were upset. But this United Workers' Party took you from messenger to prime minister, and that's the gratitude you turn around and show them? You think that man will care about you or have any gratitude to you for the vote that you give to him? This man is about himself. And all he is doing is ensuring that he sees about his own survival. Because I'm not going to join the Labour Party in criticizing King. We were once colleagues. But there's nothing else he can do other than wait for your vote to be in Parliament and to make money. So, he is going to sit there, the lazy roller that he is, and continue to feast off the people of St. Lucia. We are going to put that to an end. And the new name on that seat in Parliament will be Stephen Favier. And I will be proud to call him the Honorable Stephen Favier, Parliamentary Representative for Castries North. There is nothing honorable about a man who goes on television today, speak from one corner of his mouth, and the next day he turns around and speaks from the other corner of his mouth. That is, they say snakes. I understand these days the country is infested with snakes because banana dead. All where there used to be farms is forest now because they took a forest officer and made him Minister of Agriculture. And so, I'm being honest with you, for the first time we saw snakes by my farm. And you know, having snake by my farm, I asked the fellows, well, what they learn about the snakes are from the snake. The snakes, if they feel insulted, that you are calling King a snake. You know. So, ladies and gentlemen, to close the show, I told you that this is another man that they are afraid of. Never let the SLP mislead us again. Never let the SLP deceive us again. Never let the SLP bluff us again, because they will tell you everything negative about members of the United Workers' Party. And we turn against our own people, and by the time you blink, they're in their fold. Because all the things they said about Mondesi, where is he now? All the things they said about Vaughan Lewis, where is he now? All the things I told you what they said about Stephenson King, the only thing he had was a birth certificate, but then again they told me he has graduated, he now has a marriage certificate. So he is in the fold of the SLP. Now, they are attacking Guy Joseph relentlessly for the past, is it 15 or 20 years? 20 years. They have not succeeded in breaking Guy. and they will never succeed in breaking Guy. And never mind the strategy that they want to adopt. We know, because we are one step ahead of them. And I say to you, that plan they have of talking about arresting Guy, because, like I said, in the laws of St. Lucia permit you to arrest a man for questioning and keep him up to 72 hours. And they know that that will do so much damage because everybody will speculate and imagine, okay, finally they got Guy. We know better than that. If they try that, they will feel the full brunt, the full force of the United Workers' Party, and they will find out who exactly we are. So, my simple message to them, don't even try it. But ladies and gentlemen, the indomitable, the unstoppable, the man who is a headache for the St. Lucia Labour Party, and you can't stop that guy. He is returning to his rightful place as the parliamentary representative for Castries Southeast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next deputy political leader, the next parliamentary representative of Castries Southeast, the right guy, Guy Joseph.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. It's nice to be here. So I don't consider myself in the headquarters of the United Workers' Party. I think I am in Castries North tonight. And I am in Castries North for one reason: to lend my voice and my support to one of the best candidates that Castries North could have as a parliamentary representative. Mr. Favier brings in a wealth of experience to the table. Can you imagine, in this global environment that we are in, if this man was today a minister in government, the kind of guidance and direction, and if Labour Party is smart, while Mr. Favier is there, ask him for a few ideas. Because I know he is not selfish, and he will gladly assist you in being able. The task force you put with Emma don't know anything. Emma caused a shortage of sugar in St. Lucia when nowhere else had a shortage of sugar. You giving Emma to negotiate with Trump? You giving Emma to come up with recommendations for President Trump? I mean, we need a man with international experience. A man like Mr. Favier, who brings a wealth of experience to the table on global trade. That is what we are combating today. Do I have... Tell me a minister in the Labour Party. Anybody here? Dis-moi un ministre en Labour qui là nous savons ay parler by l'Amérique. First of all, they are racist. And if you don't like people, most likely people will not like you. So, you think the people in America don't know what they've been saying about white people? So you're going to send them and negotiate with the same white people to save us? So I want you to know tonight that Castries North, you have a task before you. And the task is to bring a man of great experience to the team of the United Workers' Party to form the next cabinet in St. Lucia. I will come back to you a little later, Mr. Favier. I bring special greetings to everyone tonight because United Workers' Party must understand this is not just an election we are fighting. This is not just to win and to be part of government. We are fighting to save the soul of this country. We are fighting to save the future of this country. We are fighting to save the generations that will come after us. And I've said to all of us, I want us to understand this. My mother, she could read and write. She didn't have a secondary education. My father was not educated, but he was very good at what we call mental arithmetic at the time. He was a carpenter by profession. These men and women, they had the intelligence to elect the United Workers' Party for 40 years to build this country. And today I was challenging a Labour Party supporter in a discussion. And I said to him, the Labour Party lays claim for introducing universal secondary education in St. Lucia. And I asked, how many secondary schools did the Labour Party build? And how many secondary schools do we have in St. Lucia? The Labour Party built about 6 secondary schools in St. Lucia. We have in excess of 20 secondary schools. So you think it's the 6 schools they built that created universal secondary education? What about all the schools that Sir John and the United Workers' Party built in this country? I asked them about roads, and when I called Newspin, some person from the Ministry of Agriculture called him and said, well, ask Guy how many roads he built. And the next day when I called, I just gave him a list of those that I remembered from the top of my head. And I challenged the Labour Party to show me one agricultural farm road they have repaired for the last 4 years that they have been in government. You see, there's a difference between political parties in this country. I want to say to you tonight that the battle is a real battle. This is not just a political battle. You see, the Labour Party will do anything to win. They don't play fair. They don't respect the electorate. They will tamper with the voters list. They will do all kinds of things to try and win. And voters, the names are being moved around. And I'm calling on all candidates. I'm calling on all citizens. Check on a regular basis where your name is finding itself. From the time I entered the political arena, and I can tell all St. Lucians, the Labour Party approached me to run a seat for them back in 2006. They actually wanted me to challenge Menisa Rambali in a runoff. But by 1998, I had told Dr. Kenny Anthony, you are given a 16-1 mandate to run this country, and you are taking the country in the wrong direction, and there's no way I can support your government. Remember, they won in 1997. And by 1998, every right-thinking St. Lucian understood that the country was going in the wrong direction. Today, the Labour Party is still at it, and nothing has changed about their approach. I have my Good Friday cricket. It's coming up this Friday again. This year is the 30th year. 30 years I'm sponsoring a cricket tournament. I didn't even dream of being in politics yet. It grew from a small community event to maybe one of the biggest events in cricket outside of a game at Mindo Philip Park or the Bonsejour cricket grounds. You know what has happened? A couple years ago, they sent the police with machine guns, armed, and went around through the crowd and told people they cannot buy drinks, they cannot sell drinks. They try to scare the people. And then they put a cricket tournament for the Sunday, Easter Sunday. After 3 years, the tournament has flopped. The Good Friday cricket is still going on strong. So you know what they did? They abandoned the playing field. They don't cut the grass. They don't clean the surroundings. Today, I had to get roller, mini excavator, grader, and persons with weed eaters to clean up the playing field. And they deliberately left it because my tournament is the Friday and theirs is the Sunday. So I'm not in government. I have no resources from government. From my own resources, I have to maintain a facility so that they can use it on the Sunday. But I always tell them, I didn't start that for politics, and I will not stop it for politics. I have always been a community person. And when I hear $80 million is being spent on sporting facilities in St. Lucia, I suspect 79 out of the 80 is spent in Grosile. But not to fix facilities. It may be to enrich certain individuals. But certainly, if $80 million was not enough to fix the Bonsejour cricket ground that cost us less than $40 million to build it and to repair it, now $80 million cannot repay. I'm saying this so that St. Lucians take some time to think things over. When you're going to deprive young people of a community from enjoying a facility, and you know what they said? Playing field guy killer, guy ki fe playing field la, so you paka coupe zeb la le. That is wickedness. That is a government that is elected and have all the taxpayers' money at their disposal. And that is how they use it. But I've told them, you cannot stop the people. Before I came here, after several attempts to get the parliamentary rep to fix the road in Chopin, they had more potholes in the road than they had road itself. You know what? The community got together, bought the cement and the ready mix, and from this morning, they use concrete and they patch every pothole in that road. And I must compliment the Ford family, and I've never seen community togetherness like this as I saw today in a long time. Because people have understood when Labour is in office, they are not for the people, they are for themselves. So I want to tell all St. Lucians, I expect police will be in Forest here on Good Friday. But we are still going to have cricket. They have done it before, and I expect they will do it again. In fact, there's one other matter I need to touch on before I need to move to other issues. You have to understand the politics of St. Lucia. And I'm speaking to St. Lucians, not just Flambeaus. When you tell me an innocent child gets to win a teddy bear, and a teddy bear is handed to the child, I don't have a clue who that child was. And a minister of government who is complaining about that child being on social media with so-called Flambeau people. Now, I didn't post the pictures. At least I couldn't take my own picture because it wasn't a selfie. So, a picture is taken. And I applaud our team for pulling the picture down from social media. But the same man who is complaining about it is the one who broadcast it to the rest of the world. What sense does that make? So if you want to protect this child, you're going to attack an innocent child who is neither here nor there about politics. When the child grows and is sufficiently able to make her decision who she going to support, if she is going to support anybody. You mean today a child cannot receive a gift if the gift is not tainted politically? And this is being done by a minister in government, a minister of local government at that. And people see that as politics. This is not politics. This has never been the politics in St. Lucia. When I was parliamentary rep, I would ask the principal of the school, how many children in the school? How many boys, how many girls? And I would send toys for every child in the school. I didn't ask who was Flambeau and who was Labour. Children should not be brought into the political arena. And it is disgraceful and despicable that a character like Richard Frederick would want to attack a picture with somebody giving a child something. Richard Frederick, let me say to you, children are safe in my presence. They don't have to worry about being raped. They don't have to worry about being molested. Everywhere I go and I interact with children, they are in a safe space. I want you to say the same for yourself. Because I am not the one who drove a sidekick up to the convent to pick up a certain person and try and use it afterwards. You are a despicable individual. You are disgrace to politics in St. Lucia. And your prime minister can endorse you. Philip J. Pierre can endorse you because he's no better than you are. You know, we must be able to draw the lines in the political arena. I don't need nobody's blood. I don't need no innocent blood to be where I am. Is one blood I believe in, is the blood of the Son of God. That's the only blood I believe in. And so, when individuals who have their own problems want to project it onto other people, I've always told you, Richard, I can take you on anytime you want. I've asked you to invite me to your program. Why are you afraid of inviting me? You know, because it is not right what you are doing. And it is not right to bring this innocent child. And I don't care who the mother is, and I don't need to know. But I apologize to the mother of that child for what you have put that child through. Because I was not the one who put the child through anything. But I always believe that our children need to be protected. The children of this nation need to be protected from vagabonds like Richard Frederick. You're going to call murder and you're going to call this. I don't want to go there because I know some mothers need people to be caretakers for their children because of the jobs they have to hustle to make ends meet. But don't use that for politics, Richard. You can do better than that. If you are as strong as you say in Central Castries, a supporter of yours, you worried about if their child take a picture and you know that's your supporter? Are you doubting that this is your supporter? Because you know what? You know too many people have turned on you. They may be pretending because of what they can get from you, but you know on election day, they're voting you out. That is what you are afraid of. Now, I've given you enough of my time. You are not worth that much time. Mr. Ernest Hille, you said that our political leader was an enemy of the state when he called upon you to account for your stewardship in the CIP operations. And you said everything was all right. You said Alan Chasney did not want St. Lucia to earn money from the CIP. Now, I don't know if I heard wrong. I don't know if I misunderstood. But I heard you in the pre-cabinet briefing giving an explanation that the same things Alan said that was wrong, the issues of the CIP, the BMAX, you said you all terminated the contracts. So if you terminated the contract, why would you terminate a contract? Because it's not good. Isn't that what Alan was saying? So who is the enemy of the state now? You see, St. Lucians, we need to understand what is happening there. There is a lot more than meets the eye. And there's information that is available that sometimes you cannot put it out yet. But I want us to take a little time and understand what Ernest Hille said. We were not the ones who said it. He said they terminated the contract. He said that they no longer collecting the money. They have to correct this thing. But that is what Alan Chasney raised the issues about. The issues that was raised in relation to how the CIP was operating, who was collecting the money, the terms and conditions of collecting the money, the due diligence, the screening of the persons. And you are telling me now, so St. Kitts is revoking CIP passports. How many have St. Lucia revoked? So, you telling me that everywhere else CIP was selling under price. Now note, for 5 years, UWP sold just over 800 passports. In 3 years, Labour has sold 11,000 files. And I need to re-emphasize this. A file can be up to 4 passports. A husband, a wife, and 2 children. So a file could mean 4 passports, or a file could be 1 or 2 or 3. Okay? So if we use the average number, let's say 2 per file. 11,000 files would mean 22,000 people. Now, I can verify as I speak to you that some Chinese people have been going to the electoral department to register to vote. And they are registering because their names have been changed to local names. So when you see it, you will not know. You see why it is important for us to canvass our voters list, to screen it. So today I know that it is the Labour Party that is an enemy of the state because they are the ones who did all the damage to the reputation of St. Lucia. So, Mr. Hille, you said you terminated the contract. Send a terminated copy. Post it, let us see it. Because I don't trust you. And I know St. Lucians don't trust you. SLP is on the attack again. And I want you to know that in order for them to succeed, we must drop our guard. Now, Flambeau, you need to understand what is at stake here. I have been under attack from every angle by the SLP. I want to tell the people of St. Lucia, an accusation does not mean that you are guilty of something. And I always tell people, if Guy Joseph was guilty of something, he would not be standing here today. I know everything they have done. And if I tell you, you see, when I travel out of St. Lucia, I cannot put a check-in bag into luggage. I can only travel with a carry-on. You know why I cannot put a check-in bag into luggage? Because I know there may be somebody who will place something in my bag. So by the time I reach the next side, I know what I go through, you know. I know how dirty this Labour Party is. I know how far they will go. So when I stand up here sometimes and I speak, I know what I deal with. If I have to order something from overseas, I have to get somebody to order it for me. Because I don't trust bringing anything here on my name, because when it reaches, I don't know what they're going to put in it and say is mine. So I have been in that situation from the time I entered into the political arena. Why should any St. Lucian have to endure all of this in order to make a contribution to the development of your country? You can never hear Labour attack me on my performance as a minister. You can never hear them say a word about whether I delivered as a minister or a parliamentary representative. But they will attack me personally. They will attack me every time that they get a chance. But St. Lucia, I can stand for myself. I can handle that. But if we allow Labour to remain in government, the question is, will the rest of St. Lucia be able to stand what Guy Joseph can stand today? Because Labour will stop at nothing but to have a one-party state. That is their aim. That is what they want to do. And I can tell you the formula. The formula they were using is to get 12 people, what you call apostles. You remember Jesus had 12 apostles? So they want 12 apostles of the Labour Party. So in the construction, and we've not spoken much about this, but when they wanted to pass the legislation, that even if you have been an architect drawing plans for so many years, when they pass the new law, you will no longer be able to sign off on your drawings. They have passed that law. It's quiet. People not saying anything about it. But at that time, they had one main architect who would be the supreme leader of architects, and everybody would be operating under him. They had one contractor who everything was supposed to go through, and every other contractor is supposed to operate under him. So you see the same Russian model of the oligarchs, that these are the people who control everything. And I want you to understand the philosophy and the thinking of the Labour Party. The thinking of the Labour Party is every St. Lucian must be dependent upon the St. Lucia Labour Party government. And if we don't do something to save our country from the hands of these people. So when they said, oh, we're forming a united front, so we're bringing in Stevenson King and Richard Frederick with us, it's not about Richard or Steve they are concerned about. They would do anything to be in power, because when they are in power, they can roll out their plans. And we, on the other hand, we want to be docile. If we take them on, y'all tell us, oh, we want to hear what your plans are. Stop talking about them. If we don't tell you what they are up to, how would you know? So I am telling you, St. Lucia is in trouble. You think they really care about whether cargo can come from America and whether Trump puts on the tariff of the 1.5 million on every vessel that's made in China? And these days they haven't even extended it. If it had parts in it that was made in China. I want us to understand we are at the crossroads. We are trying to save this country from the destruction that is being brought upon it by Philip J. Pierre. And Philip J. Pierre is not a leader. Philip J. Pierre is being led. He's not a leader. And I said to St. Lucia, no organization rises above its leader. So think of what St. Lucia is today. And Philip J. Pierre doesn't see any problem with anything. He tell you he's proud of Richard Frederick in his cabinet. So, I have come under a lot of attacks for the statement that I made here about the injection. I want to assure the doctors in St. Lucia, you are not my enemy, and I am not your enemy. But I know there are certain people in the profession who are more political than they are professional. And I know where the discussion took place, and I know what was said. That Leuhen Bugoha could just buy a Favier injection. So that was not a statement leveled at our general doctors in St. Lucia and practitioners. But there are people who are more political than the politicians themselves. What the politicians will not do, they will do. So what Spider said, I don't think that all our policemen should be in one bracket. But you don't think Labour can get 2 or 3 police officers to try and arrest guy? Whether they have cause or not. So I am telling you, you saw what has happened in Dominica? 22 members of the opposition in Dominica have already been arrested. So we need to understand. Hilaire said it was planned in St. Lucia for Dominica. Well, it is planned in Dominica for St. Lucia. You see, I want us, now don't think, I've always said to people, I live life very simple. If God does not permit some things, it can never happen. And if God permits it, He has His reason for permitting it to happen. So I never go to bed and I can fall asleep worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. But I want us to know that if we don't stand and fight today, there may not be a tomorrow for us to fight. And so I am appealing to St. Lucians. Whether you are a business person, whether you are unemployed, whether you are an ordinary citizen, your children deserve a future. The younger generation deserve a better future than what the St. Lucia Labour Party is offering St. Lucia today. So, I have news for the police officers that they are targeting. I got that news a long time ago. I have news for them. When you come in, come ready. And come very good. Because I've always told them, I know me. I can account for other people. I can account for me. And I've never been afraid of the Labour Party. And I want the Labour Party to know you can never beat me into submission. You can never have me submit to your pressure. Never. I will die before that happens. Because you know what? I believe in a cause. I believe in the cause of the United Workers' Party. I believe in what this party has done for St. Lucia. And for Labour Party to think that everybody who takes you on, you want to threaten them. It wasn't that same Labour Party who said U.S. Marshals was on the airport waiting for Richard Frederick as soon as we... Where are the U.S. Marshals today? Where are they? But Richard Frederick is in your cabinet. So because you can't get Guy to join, I can tell you how many of them have come to me and tell me, man, I tell you, your people don't want you. Come and join us. There's a place for you. And some of us flambeaus, we betray our own people. Some of us. Let me tell you, if I had to listen to some flambeaus, I'm not in flambeau again, you know. Because, you see, it is one thing to be accused of something. It's another thing when the people you're fighting for are the ones who believe it more than those who know. Because Labour know their line. When they did the first forensic audit with Robert Lindquist, I was in opposition. I entered the parliament upstairs. Philip JPL looked at me and he said, you sucker, we know you did things, but we can't find it. And you know what I said to him? You continue to look. If it's there, you must find it. I want us to understand the Labour Party, they are dirty. I know them. And everybody who has been in Labour Party understands the rules by which they operate. Yes. So, they are trying. They are desperate. It's a foregone conclusion in Castries Southeast that Labour Party has lost that seat. They know that. They don't need me to tell them that. I was in the constituency this afternoon. I went to a funeral in Wavin-Poisson. And the parliamentary rep, He came in towards the end of the funeral and he sat in the back seat. And he never got up from there. I spent maybe 20 minutes outside interacting with people, and everybody was out of the church and he was still in the church. Maybe he was praying. Maybe he was praying. I'm saying this. Today, you know what they are doing? The same people who are absent in the constituency. Wednesday last week, 6:15 in the morning, raining. You knocking on people's doors in Sarot. And as you knock on the doors, as I get the call, can you believe who's by my house? You see, it's either you love people and you care about them and you go into work for them. Labour Party is at their old game again. 3.5 years, they made everybody suffer in this country. Election is around the corner. And so all of a sudden, they reappearing from everywhere. St. Lucians, I always tell St. Lucians, if y'all can live on the labor, I can live on the labor. So you have to ask yourself, am I able to live another 5 years under this government? So, in moving on, I want St. Lucians to take a little time and think of how much blackmail this Labour Party has been involved in. And I want to put the electoral department on notice. You all moved 850 people out of Castries Southeast between the last 3 months of 2021 before the elections. 3 months before the elections, you moved 850 people into the constituency and you moved 800 out. So when we looked at the bottom line number, the numbers did not change. So I know the games that they are at. I know what they're working towards. And that's why I'm telling all candidates, all voters, pay attention. Labour has no solutions to the problems of this country. I have in my hand the manifesto of the Labour Party. They are the ones who said what they were going to do. This is what they said in the agricultural sector. And I want to remind you all, because everybody talking about food security. You think food security, we don't have manna falling from heaven again, you know. Only when the children of Israel left Egypt, en route to the promised land, that God sent manna from heaven. So then no food security if we don't do what we have to do for food security. So here's what Labour Party said. Direct support and assistance through the Trade Export Promotion Agency under the Export Market Development Assistance Program. The repurposing of the IRDC and construction of mini facilities in all rural communities for the operating and emerging of existing producers. Now, maybe I've not gone all around St. Lucia. I want anybody from any community to tell me one new market or mini market that the Labour Party has built in one community in St. Lucia. I'm not the one who said it. Page 14 of their manifesto. So, the IRDCs, I know we have one in Dennery Valley and we have one in Odsa. It's more closed than it's open. So, they said they would repurpose the IRDC and construct so it meant that the IRDC would not be enough. So they have to build little markets all over the place. I have not seen one redesign the agricultural system for higher efficiency and lower cost of production by integrating technologies such as precision agriculture and biotechnology tools, informed by research done in collaboration with CADI into the agricultural sector. You remember we used to have Winburn at Roseau, and that's where they did a lot of the research. What has happened to that? Okay? Now hear that. Redesign the agricultural system for more efficiency and lower cost. We have one tractor in St. Lucia. Only one tractor. Now, not a bulldozer, because a lot of people do not understand equipment. So we call bulldozers tractors. A tractor is what is used to plow the land for the farmers. A bulldozer is what we use to cut the roads, in other words. So, we have one tractor with 4 wheels, yes. Ministry of Agriculture. As I speak to you, it is, initially I said 1 year, I was reliably informed it's 2 years. The tractor have 2 flat tires. Ek pou de flat tire. Tractor pa kato avay, ek fama pasa hen yo tiye de pou fakte yo pou plante. Let me tell you. Now, if the tire is not tubeless, you can just buy a tube. A tube might cost you $200. Can you believe that a Ministry of Agriculture with dozens of staff, millions of dollars of expenditure every year in the Ministry of Agriculture, they tire? You buy SUVs for messengers to go and deliver mail. And you cannot buy 2 tires for a tractor. And I have to take you serious about agriculture. And we have a Minister of Agriculture. We have what we're supposed to have. Because I don't know if I was in charge of things, that minister should be fired. You don't know the tractor. Mahadisa. Person bo ba commission budu. If you go to any of the, if you go to Rasco or Bandag or one of the time, and you ask them to donate 2 tires for the farmers, I am sure you will get a businessman in St. Lucia who can donate 2 tires. So, hotly $6 million pour I get ticket pour jazz. And when we speak about these things, people want to get vexed because you're getting a free ticket for jazz. I hope you all can eat the tickets after. Because if you can find money to buy tickets, and then you know what they do at jazz? So when they have their Color Me Red shows, you know how it operates? They use the jazz money to pay for the main stage of jazz, and in that same money is the money for the other shows that are held on the side, and the people draw their money. And St. Lucia don't benefit from it. So you can find $6 million to spend in jazz, but you can't find $2,000 to buy 2 tires to put for the tractor, to plow the land, so we can have more food security in St. Lucia. And I am supposed to take this government serious? Can you believe that? And when they prosper, half in the man they prosper, they were some politics. Because there's no way a minister can be interested. And then you don't know what's going on in your own ministry. You don't know they need 2 tires. Now, on the healthcare, universal health care will be implemented within the first term of a Labour Party office. And I heard Philip J. Pierce say, everybody who is 80 years and over need to go and register. Some of our 80-year-olds are bedridden. A gold card? Yes. You see, we have to understand universal health care is supposed to be provided by the state. They have to tell us how it operating. I have been asking them because I am not sure I understand how universal health care is supposed to operate. So, Simon Amalda, Musa, I will not say like you. Okay? If I have a toothache, will I be able to use universal health care to go to the doctor? Huh? You see, it is easy for governments to tell us, it's easy for them to tell us, we will do this or we will do that. But we must understand the mechanism through which it is going to work. It doesn't just fall from. Now, so that's what they said. The St. Jude Hospital will be reopened within the shortest possible time. Now, I don't know what shortest possible time means. One time they said they would spend 100 million in the economy immediately, and after 5 years they had not spent 100. So immediately was 5 years in that. The shortest possible time is now 4 years. Now, I'd given a date for the election. Now they say they're waiting to open St. Jude in February next year to call the election. But I had you say 31st of December, you have election on this. Hear what they say? We shall make the employment of all eligible contracted nurses and doctors permanent. Now let me tell you, most of our nurses are working sessions. And some of them who are working sessions, they come to me. That's why I know what's going on. So when y'all think the nurses are against me, the nurses love me more than they love some of y'all because they know I don't give them a 649. Some of them from December have not been paid. That's those working sessions at, what's the new name they gave to VH? Betty Wells. The Betty Wells Clinic. I am telling you, some of the nurses from December have not been paid. Hear what they say? In demonstration of a Labour Party's government commitment to healthcare and the well-being of its citizens, a percentage of GDP will be committed to the maintenance and improvement of the St. Lucia healthcare system. Now, Labour never told us that they were going to introduce a new tax. They said a percentage of GDP. So I was expecting from the budget that you have, that you are going to take a percentage of it and apply it to healthcare. But they put that 2.5%. They have collected $80 million in the 2.5%. So they say for health and security. So let's divide it half-half. 40 million for security, 40 million for health. The increase in health since they introduced that tax is less than $10 million. In fact, the first year when they introduced it, they reduced security and they increased health. So the amount they reduce security, they put it on health. So it was the same, basically. This last year, they increased it from 178, I think, to 188 million. Now, Philip JP said they need another $75 million to run the OKEU hospital, and you only increase health budget by $10 million. So where the other 65 coming from? So you think you will get health care on the Labour Party? Now, my final point on this. You know, the Labour Party has a way of fooling the people of St. Lucia. They were the ones who said that Richard Frederick was the worst minister of housing ever. I can show it to you. Party said just monkey. This is the 2011 Manifesto of the St. Lucia Labour Party. On page 47, it says the last 5 years represents the lowest period in our nation's history for the housing sector. And this has been the worst performance of any housing minister. And you know who was housing minister during that time? Richard Frederick. And they take the same Richard Frederick and they make him minister of housing. And he go and build 3 high-rise buildings in Deadwood. Labour Party, you see the 2 speed bumps before you get to the police station? If you go in south, look on the left. You will see 3 high-rise buildings there. That is Richard's achievement. Now, they were in Talvan on Friday. They were handing over a house to somebody. Anybody saw it on the news? Yes. So, you know who ordered that house? Guy Joseph. When he was Minister of Housing, we ordered 3 houses from Dubai. Yo kite kaila ada warehouse la pour presque 4 ans. And now they go and put up one of the houses and they're making big ceremony as if they give a house to somebody. And no, they didn't invite me. And you know who paid for the house? Invest St. Lucia was the one who paid for the house when we were in government, because we did an exchange of a piece of land that was on the NHC at Union. We did the exchange, and in exchange for it, where Carib Pastor used to be. Because Invest had there, and we had a piece, and they wanted to use it. So we tell them, okay, use the land, and Invest paid for the 3 houses. These houses could have been built 3 years ago and given to 3 needy St. Lucian families. So yo kite la assez longtemps pour nous oublier. Because yo kwe mou oublier, c'est nous kite o dakay la. This is a shameless government. But I want to tell you, St. Lucia. There are 3 things you need to consider for this upcoming election. If you vote or if you allow Labour Party to remain in office, taxes will go up. There's no if or but. Labour Party cannot stand up to the IMF. The only prime minister, apart from Sir John, you remember Sir John, the IMF, and he said, I will introduce my own austerity program. I don't need you to come and tell me how to handle my local economy. I am telling you, this is what I'm going to do. And Sir John stood his grounds. When IMF and World Bank came, and they said you cannot reduce VAT from 15% to 12.5%, Alan Chasney told them, you cannot tell me what to do. I am reducing the taxes for the people of St. Lucia. In the most recent study that the Labour Party did. So apart from the 2.5% that they put there and that they are going to keep because it should end in August. It was for 2 years. They have already extended it. They are now thinking, put another 2%. So in essence, it's going to go to 15 plus 2.5. Now, St. Lucians understand what a compounded tax is. If they add up all the taxes and calculate it one time, it is lower. But when they calculate the 15% they are going to put the VAT on, then they're going to calculate the 2.5. So you pay the levy on the VAT. I hope we are understanding this. A UWP government has promised that we will reduce VAT to 10%. And you can count on UWP coming in and reducing VAT. The second thing, just 3 things I'll touch on. The second one is the visa issue. Who would you trust to negotiate with America to protect our visas, to negotiate with Europe to protect our right to travel to Europe? So, you have to think, there are students whose visas have been revoked. Not revoked, but not renewed. There are workers on the cruise ships who have been denied the right to go back on the cruise ship because their seamen's visas have not been renewed. They have all kinds of things going on at the embassy. I am saying to you, if you leave Labor Day, nukawela mewika su TV. Ek nupa isa lela. Every St. Lucian, think about what I'm telling you. And think of it, if Richard Frederick has to have more power than he has today, what will happen to St. Lucia? If Labour Party wins the next election, Richard Frederick will be more powerful than he is today. So I know. Now, he has to win for him to be more powerful. And I know that's why he's so desperate, because while the rest of us can go to America without being a minister, almost everybody here, ibahame mai ratai let's see ba minister. Ajije we pula bewik. So I am saying this so that we understand the future of St. Lucia, the soul of St. Lucia, the young people of St. Lucia. They are counting on us. Yes. I could have counted on the wisdom of my parents because they kept UWP in office for 30 years. And that is what built St. Lucia. Yes. We need to return the United Workers' Party so that we can continue to build St. Lucia. Thank you, good night, and God bless.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was the right guy, Guy Joseph. And I listened to Guy very carefully. And in a nutshell, what Guy is saying to you, if you vote for the Labour Party, the SLP, you are voting for higher taxes. If you vote for the SLP, you are voting for Richard Frederick to become more powerful in this country. If you vote for the SLP, you are voting for you to lose the opportunity of getting a visa to go to America. Now, occasionally I see, like even when there's in Times Square, I think it is, I've seen St. Lucians come and pose in the morning show, whatever, and you see them on TV. But like Guy tell you, you're not going to see them on TV. They will see America on TV. So be sure that you protect your interests, that you protect your future, that you protect your children. Vote for the United Workers' Party, because that is the only guarantee we have that this country, St. Lucia, will continue to progress and develop. Now, I just want to say something. The thing about it is that just now Guy, Dominic, and Alan will stop talking to me, because anything they tell me, I just drop a little thing for you. The chairman doesn't even talk to me these days. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an announcement. They didn't tell me to say that. There is an announcement coming very soon, later this month, and that is something that will take place in the incoming Prime Minister's constituency, in the constituency of Alan Shasney in Mikul. So stay tuned. I cannot tell you more because I want them to tell me more. Stay tuned, you will hear about it very soon. But I want to say tonight that we had a very great meeting, and we added more hope to the people of St. Lucia. In other words, let me put it as it is. We added more gas to the flambeau. Because I heard a young man tonight that I am sure gave the rest of St. Lucia hope, just as he gave the people of Castries North hope. This is inspiring. We have young men and women who are up to the task and ready for the fight. What they bring to the table is unprecedented. We have a team of men and women who are ready to take on the mantle, to take care of this country and bring it back on track. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us all do the right thing. Let us all right the wrong. And when I say let us all, they have a clip going around already. Because the young man, Kishon, who spoke here earlier, and when he mentioned Mamai Flabo, they have it already. Not Mamai Flabo, Mamai Labour. They have it already as a clip. That is the desperation of the St. Lucia Labour Party. So let me give them something to make a clip on. Tout Mamai Labour. Fair asiwe, hot vote court Labour. Ek vote by United Workers' Party. Because you were part of doing wrong, you are now supposed to be a part of making the wrong right. So we welcome every single supporter of the St. Lucia Labour Party who has recognized their mistake and who are prepared to right the wrong, join with the United Workers' Party and vote for the United Workers' Party to bring St. Lucia back on a path of progress. Make a clip with that. So, I'll not go without telling you, tomorrow night, Monday night, is like it is. And I will tell you like it is. Now, let me just say something to you. The rep for Grosili want to tackle me. That's a mistake. You can't handle Marcella, so you want to jump on me. Well, I will tell it like it is. Because you had an opportunity on Friday to tell it like it is, and you did not. I will tell it like it is. And he said, just a little trailer, he said that there are those who were there for 10 years, and the way they went about accumulating their wealth. I say to him, I don't speak in nebulous terms. I don't speak, in parables. I am direct. Kenson Kazimi, I want you to tell us how you accumulated your wealth. And if anybody asks me that question, ask me tonight so I can say it tomorrow. How did I acquire my wealth? I will spell it out to you because I have nothing to hide. I want you to do the same. And I will tell Kenson how he can go about answering the questions that you are asking about the wealth that he has. So, tune to Like It Is tomorrow night. Because after tomorrow, it will be a long time before you hear Like It Is again. Because the following Monday is a holiday. It's Easter. So tune in. And on Thursday, you are going to meet the opposition. Because on Friday, you will see the minister. You will not be able to meet the minister. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that we had a great meeting. And the greatest thing about this meeting is the inspiration, the motivation, the hope that the United Workers' Party has provided St. Lucia with. That we finally are going to have a replacement for the lazy roller, we are going to have a representative who will make a difference. Not one who came. Now, Marcella said she don't need politics to survive, and they're upset about that. Well, let me just say, I don't want no politician who looking for survival. I'm looking for politicians who looking to serve. And that is what the politicians of the United Workers' Party are here to do. I see another servant in Stephen Favier, and that gives me more hope as a St. Lucian. So, I want to thank you, first of all, Stephen, because it's not a job you're looking for. I know what you left in Geneva to come here. Okay? We can't pay you so much, like they were paying you over there. But you can give us much more than you gave them over there. And that is what we're counting on. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank all the other young men and women who have made the sacrifice to offer themselves to the country, not just Flambeau, to the country, to become servants of our people and to put our country back on track. And that goes especially, Guy, Dominic, I'm taking you all for granted, you know, but that goes especially to the 12 new candidates of the United Workers' Party. You know, you have reasons to, you know, tonight I went on a rampage there. The chairman just told me a few things, and I give you, out of the 17, I gave you 14. There are 3 more. If you want to know, stay tuned. I will find a way to get it from the chairman, and you will get it. Stay tuned. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you who are here this evening. You were a great audience. I want to thank all of those who are listening in the diaspora. I want to thank all of those who are listening around St. Lucia. And I want to especially thank all the laborites who have finally begun to follow the truth and to look to the light of the United Workers' Party. I want to ask that you drive home safely, because today our country is not as safe as it used to be. Just today, they found 2 dead young men in a car in Grand Riviere. I find it strange that I live in Grosile, and it was hours after that happened I found out about it. Because guess what? Losing lives in St. Lucia is not even news anymore. That is commonplace under a St. Lucia Labour Party government. We want to make it commonplace that you are protected and safe in your country, that you have proper health care in your country, that you do not have to pay through your nose for bread, that you don't have to pay through your nose for gas, that you have a government that is not corrupt, and you have a government of integrity that will bring back the reputation of St. Lucia. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you, and to finally say to you, right the wrong by voting the United Workers' Party under the leadership, the able leadership of Alan Michael Chasney. Thank you and good night.